Hey everyone, welcome and thanks for tuning in to today's episode. We have a good one for you. To start things off, Shang and I have a good chat with Alex Wennberg about his off-season training regiment and also a couple of his thoughts on the new Sharks acquisitions. After that, we're going to speak with Eliza and Justine from Elite Prospects, who happen to also be Sharks fans. So we have a good chat with them about the Sharks prospects and prospect scrimmage game. And before we get into that, just a note, we did not on this episode talk about Leo Carlsson and what happened with the offer that Philadelphia proposed, how it impacts the Sharks. So we're going to have an expert talk on that on the next episode. So we won't get into that on this episode. So stay tuned for that. And before we get into our discussion with Alex, I'm going to quick note from our sponsor, Blade Tech Hockey, who provides fantastic steel. New Shark fan favorite, Ivar, also uses Blade Tech. And I think we're all impressed with what we saw in the prospect scrimmage game from him. So Blade Tech gives you about 5.5% increase in speed and gives you that good bite because of the quality of steel and the hardness of it when it digs into the ice. It's just the best product that you could possibly get when it comes to steel. So don't forget to use our code San Jose Hockey now for 10% off anything at Blade Tech. All right, guys, let's get into our chat.
Yeah.
All right, Alex, welcome to the podcast, dude. We're so excited to have you here today. How's it going, bud? How's your summer?
Summer's been good, just try to enjoy recharging a little bit, get together with family and friends, just enjoy that time. Obviously doing a little bit of workouts and getting prepared for going on the ice, but it's great. Right now we're just enjoying the summer for sure.
And we're recording this on Thursday, July 9th. Alex, you said that you've been back in San Jose for a week already. Is that a little bit early? You're not in Sweden as long this summer?
No, I mean it's early. Obviously, you try to be in Sweden, get as much time there as possible. But right now, we're actually expecting our third kid. So a reason why we're a little bit early is to kind of get into the time zone, get settled in to make it as good as possible for the new baby to arrive. So right now, yeah, it's earlier than expected, but we kind of love it as well. I mean, obviously, you come here, sun shining, it's as beautiful as ever. So we have no complaints to be here a little bit earlier than normal.
And congratulations to you and Felicia. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much.
When are you expecting roughly?
It's gonna be an August baby,
Okay.
so somewhere in that ballpark. And then after that, I mean, obviously, gives it a little bit of time too before the season starts to kind of like get the mojo of having 3 kids. So we're kind of excited about that too, and get to enjoy that time before it all starts for sure.
Well, Alex, one of the big reasons why we're having you on is we want to talk about your summer recovery and how you are kind of getting ready for the season. But before we do that, let's kind of hit some of the basic Sharks questions that we've got to hit you with. So lots has happened with the Sharks since the end of the season, obviously. First things first, what do you say to William Eklund after that surprising trade?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's tough. Me and Eki really get along really well. Sitting next to him in the locker room, spend every single day together, pretty much. So obviously, seeing a good friend, a good teammate leave, it's never easy. Obviously, it's a part of the business. I've seen it before, and it's probably going to happen in the future with the other players. But I mean, we're all human. It doesn't make it any easier. Sure, he's going to be missed here by a lot of people, and me especially. So it is what it is. Obviously, I think the fit for him going to Ottawa, obviously reunited with Seds, is going to be great. I think he's going to have a blast there. But obviously, a little surprised. But I think there's a plan behind it, and I feel like it all going to work out for both him, for the team here, and for Ottawa. So I think it's a win-win at the end of it. So.
You've been traded before. Did you have sort of a word of advice to him or just, I mean, he's so young?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we called him the next day. Word of advice is tough because, I mean, there's all different situations. I think, like, especially right when it happens, it just hits you out of nowhere. So the only thing you can say, I mean, and everyone knows in the hockey world as well, there's nothing personal about it. Mostly it's just business. You got to get the team together. You try as a GM to get that squad that you think is going to have what it takes to go all the way. Sometimes it works in your favor, sometimes it doesn't. But I think he handled it as a pro. I mean, he's young, like you said, but you can see the maturity and the challenge instead. I think he's looking at it as something that would just help him boost his career, new opportunity, new situation, and make the best out of it. So I think he's doing a great job. And the knowledge I give him is just give him a pat on the back and more of a farewell and see you, maybe see you in the future kind of thing, stuff. So yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about your third child, Ivar Stenberg. I'm just kidding. Anyway, what have your conversations with Ivar been like? I know you called him when he got drafted and also at development camp.
Yeah, no, I mean, so far so great. Obviously, I feel like just for me to have a little, give him a call, talk a little bit with him, just kind of introduce him to the team here, but also like being a Swede as well. It's a lot of things. I mean, just for the draft, it's a lot of emotion, a lot of things happening. So just give him a little bit of welcome and make him feel like he have support from us as the Swedes if he ever needs something. So short and brief, obviously. Right now he's back home celebrating celebrating being home in Sweden. So so far so great. He seems like a great kid. I'm really excited to get to know him even better, and then I can't wait to see him actually play on the Sharks as well. I mean, the talent he has. So I mean, I couldn't be more happy to have him as a teammate coming in and joining us as well. So.
All right, I have to ask you because all the fans are wondering, in the grand tradition of Macklin Celebrini living with Joe Thornton, Will with Patrick Marleau, Michael Misa with Tyler Toffoli, will Ivar be living with the Wennbergs?
So far, I mean, like I said, there's been brief conversation just to get to know each other. Obviously, our family is getting another kid as well, so we'll see if the house is full. But I mean, no matter what, like he's always going to be welcome here. I mean, there's no closed door, but you just got to see how it works out best for everyone. I mean, it was going to be a pro standpoint, and we see the fit for everyone. So
Yeah.
we're not making the decision yet, but like for us, I mean, we want him to make as comfortable as possible. Feel like he have someone to lean on. I mean, we're always there for him. So if he needed it.
I mean, Alex, at a certain point, 3, 4, 5 kids, like what's the difference at a certain point, right?
No, exactly. I mean, we just gotta maybe build a bigger house and get some more bedrooms. That's it.
That's what the new contracts were.
Exactly. Perfect.
Speaking of Macklin and Will, I've been wanting to ask you, just because it's always fun to see those pictures with Mac and Will and your babies. I know that your kids, and I know your kids love them too. So, all right. So be honest here, Mac and Will, who is the better babysitter and why?
No, I mean, we have them both over. I feel like both of them are just doing a terrific job. I wouldn't even pick a favorite because both of them.
No.
I mean, the fun thing is that, I mean, like you said, you can say who's better than the other one, but when they come in and just, I mean, you know them as well. I mean, they're just great persons, and you can see how they're interacting with our kids. So, like I said, if any of them, if I have to pick and choose, I would just say like both of them just tag along because I mean, there are two peas in a pod, so I feel like they're a duo that kind of stick together. So.
All right, so they're both excellent babysitters. So together
Absolutely,
and separately.
I would trust them for sure. Yeah, no hesitation.
Oh, would you? Yeah, like so.
Yeah,
Would you trust
100%.
them more than any other? Like, are they up there? On the Sharks, or who you would trust in a babysitting situation?
I feel like I would probably look outside before going in within the team for babysitters. But like you said, if I really had to, yeah, I would trust them.
Well, I don't blame you for that. So that makes sense.
Exactly.
Alex, I wanted to ask you what you can tell us about the Sharks' new additions here, Jacob Trouba and Mason Marchment, who you both played with, and also Darnell Nurse and Michael Kesselring, who you played against.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's like I said, a lot of things happen with the Sharks. A lot of players going out, but a new players coming in. So I really like the moves we've been doing. I mean, obviously, a lot of size coming in. I mean, I think all of them is around 6'4", 6'5", it feels like.
Yep.
So great additions. And I feel like, especially how the league right now, I mean, you need that tough mentality. You need the heavy demons. You need that physicality. So I think that's going to be a big thing for our team to kind of like add that to our lineup. And like I said, I played with Marchment before. He's a great player. I mean, not only could he put ahead and be physical, he also have the sense to score those goals. He's stepping up in big games. I feel like that's a great addition right there to get him in. Play with Troops before, same thing. I mean, obviously we know him for his physicality and how good he is to get those timing on those hits, but playing wise as well. I mean, he's been in the league for so many years. He's so solid with the puck, and he's also, like I said, with the poise, with the sense of playing playoffs game in those kind of situation. I mean, he's been through it before, so I think those those two guys and play with them before, I really liked to have them as teammates again. So excited for that. And with the other two, Kesselring and Nurse, I mean, obviously played against them. Not always fun. Doesn't always enjoy going into battles with them. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun to have them on your side instead of playing against them. And like I said, Nurse with like same thing, kind of a troop. The experience he had, played in was a back-to-back Stanley Cup final, so he knows how to get there. Obviously, I think that's helping the team as well with the young guys and the experience in playoffs to have a guy like that who's been through that journey before. So, like I said, I'm really excited to see how we're going to line up, how the team's going to not only start the season but progress and build even that, because new guys comes in, you want to find that chemistry, but with the tools we have, all the players, I think it's a setup for a great year right now, and I think everyone's just excited to get going and see what we got.
All right, Alex, just a couple more before we get to things about your routine. So Alex, of course, you and your wife, Alicia, you guys are well known around the league. You guys stand out for your social activism, be it donating 50,000 meals to Feeding America, or you regularly support the Sharks Pride scrimmage. What I wanted to ask you is, going back, I guess, even into maybe even growing up, was there someone in your life, in your youth, who, really inspired you to kind of stand up for what's right, your parents or somebody like that?
I mean, I would say, obviously, growing up with the parents, they kind of set the values and the standard that we have. So obviously, I think they always been that kind of people that like you should. Known saying, they always told me like you should treat others as you want to be treated yourself. So I mean, if you want to be a good guy, you see people treat you the same way. So I think that's kind of how it all started. But at the end of the day, I mean, I feel like me and my wife, through the years as well, and what kind of person we want to be, and not maybe the impact, but like how we want to leave. Like after people meet us and all that, we want to give them our true self and what we stand for, and doing things like this to help the community, help other people a bit, or just in general make a little bit of difference with everyday life. I mean, that's what we try to show. So it's just the two of us, and I say my wife is for sure the driving force behind a lot of things as well. But I love the fact that she opened up my eyes more and introduced me to situation or happenings in the world that maybe in the past it's more been focused on hockey. So now you kind of broaden your spectrum and want to do more. So I think it's just she's bringing out a better side of me, which I really appreciate from her side. So yeah.
Awesome. And are there any causes that you guys are supporting right now that maybe you want to talk about?
I mean, obviously, right now we are monthly donors and keep doing things on the low. I mean, not everything we do has to be out and about. We just kind of try and do small things. But obviously, right now, having the kids, the focus is on fella's health, the pregnancy. Maybe when we're getting in and things calms down a little bit, we will focus in on what we can do to help out a little bit more when we're back with the Sharks and all that. So, I mean, obviously, nothing is really set up what we're going to do right now, but that's just because our focus right now is just to make baby number 3's arrival as good as possible.
And baby number 4, Ivar. So.
Exactly. Him as well. So.
All right. Well, Alex, we wanted to talk a little bit as well about your recovery and your longevity and just being able to consistently improve throughout the course of your career. So first thing I wanted to ask you was, walk us through 24 hours after a game. Like, what does recovery actually look like for you now versus, let's say, when you broke into the league with Columbus in your 20s?
No, I mean, a lot of change. I think coming into the league as well, not saying being naive, but I mean, obviously you got so much more energy, you got so much faster recovery. So you kind of took that for granted and kind of, I wouldn't say I was slacking, but like all these small things that would have helped me nowadays. If I would have done it when I was younger, I wish someone would have told me then. I mean, and I would have listened. So obviously, nowadays for me, it's nothing special, but you find your routines, you find your habits that you know is going to set you up for the best of success. And for me, I mean, obviously, sleep is one thing, and it's something I struggle with. So working a lot with meditation, that kind of things to help improve that and falling asleep. Because I mean, with the schedule, the traveling, all that, it's a lot of things going on. So I think that is something that really helped me getting ready for games for the next day, and getting that sleep right. But other than that, I mean, it's small things. Like I said, my trainer back home that we're working with for 10+ years, he has a PhD. So with a bunch of things that the research, the knowledge he passed along to me. So it could be anything from getting broccoli sprouts with Nomio is one thing I do. Another thing I do is that supplements that could help that are approved that would give me that kind of like sleep or recovery wise, or if it's something that would prevent injuries. Like right now, I'm using Escape Blade, which is like more softer on the groins. It's called Marsh Blade. So small things that would just help my career getting longer and don't have to put that force in every day. So it's things like that would help with recovery, that would help with performance. I'm all ears for it, because if I could stay injury free and play at a high, closest to 100% level, I think that's where you bring out more success in your game as well. So
I love it. So wait, so I have so many things to expand off of that. You said so much, and I love it. First of all, have you ever read Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker?
No, I have not. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not the biggest reader. I mean, every now and then I try to start a book, but usually be half finished. Might have to join the Will Smith book club, but that is something I should get onto. So
Yeah, because I know I struggle with sleeping as well, and it's a great book on not only why we sleep, but he gives some great takeaways on how to improve just quality of sleep and quantity. And something I learned recently that I found really interesting is that it actually takes a lot of discipline to go to sleep quick. And that's just not a framing that I've ever learned until recently. So, but you also said that you're using Mars blades now, like the chassis, or okay, yeah.
No, so what I said,
yeah.
2 years ago, it was right before signing with the Sharks, with small injuries, having groin issues, and kind of like have that everyday treatment just to kind of like get ready for the next game. And I mean, the science behind Marsh Blade is, I mean, obviously it's kind of a clap skate, which is like it moves and adjusts to how you're skating. And for me, what it does though is that if I want to go in the same speed in the same style as I do, I don't have to use as much power with the Marsh Blade, because it's adjust and helps me get that skate play the whole time. And because of that reason, I started just tweaking with it, finding what worked for me, and that would help me instead of having that sore groin after full game. I feel like it helps me not get there, which is just gives me time to recover the next game. So I was like one little bit ahead of the recovery schedule, even the game ended. So I feel like that was a big game changer for me. That I feel like recovery wise also did as a huge difference. I mean, obviously I can just speak from the knowledge, but that is the only reason why I used it, to prevent injuries, and it actually done that for me as well. So I think it's been great and really kind for me so far. So yeah.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, during COVID, I got the Mars Blades roller blades just to skate outside, and I really loved them. The boot was horrible, but the actual blade was a lot of fun. So Wennberg, I just wanted to pivot a little bit about your skating, because you're such a beautiful skater on the ice, and it's really fun to see just how you move. Wondering what kind of profile and sharpening you get, and also like just take us through the evolution of your skating, because you seem to have like a narrow stance at the right moments. You widen your stance to protect the puck at the right moments. Sort of just talk to me a little bit about your skating technique.
No, I mean, I did growing up. I remember once a week I had this skating coach, kind of like we went to this class. I remember when we had it, it was not the most fun. There was no pucks. It was just working on your edges and all that. And I remember like, this better be worth it. And I couldn't be more happy that my parents kind of like forced me to do that, because I feel like that kind of like sets the standard and builds that technique from the beginning. So that's how it started. But after that, I mean, I always try to something I've always been good at is having that to be able to keep doing it. Like I'm a runner. Like if I would run like a distance, I usually be able to kind of like keep up and not really get too tired. So to translate it over to my skating, to be able to push at a higher level, that is something that I've been working with my skating, to have that smooth skating and not be choppy and explosive, rather to have a longer and long strides with powerfulness. So that's something that I think helped me kind of like you talked about, to be able to adjust the situation, when to go deep, when to be a little bit higher, just to maintain power and that strength through a full game. So.
Oh, I love it. And then speaking of skating, I mean, You've been logging more and more ice time throughout your career, in consistently logging over 20 minutes a night. So does that and also as you're getting older, has that changed how you're recovering as well? And obviously with high intensity workouts, you're building a lot of lactate, especially after a long shift. So how do you manage that, in terms of even bench recovery and also after the game recovery?
No, I mean during the game, I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm superstitious, but you kind of have like your habits. So usually, like you have the same kind of setup before every game to get ready. But for me, when it comes down to the games and stuff like that, just important to get kind of like. I used to do beetroot, kind of like helps you with the love. No, I moved over to the broccoli sprout, which it gives that effect that you don't really get tired. You get that extra energy from it, which is like helped by science to improve, which I think helps the mind, makes you feel a little bit more uh, quick and like it gives you that extra boost that you need. Other than that, I mean, I just try to get that drinking pickle juice, kind of like prevent things, not because I maybe feel like I get the cramps, but yeah, it just helps that. So small things like that when I get older, small tweaks, and you kind of find that soft spot. It's like, okay, I just need to do this and that to get that level and confidence in your game, your mind, to get those minutes and like have that energy to make it through the whole thing. So it's a learning process. I wouldn't say the first game of the season is usually where you're trying to like test things out, and eventually after game 5, 10, you kind of like dialed in and you just try to keep that same routine and habits through the year.
So are you taking broccoli sprouts during the game?
No, so the science behind it is that so Nomio is this new thing I started, which is broccoli sprouts in a kind of a shot. It's a blend that you take, and you're supposed to take it 3 hours before the game to maximize it. And with the help of that, this is the English term that I might be lacking, but to be able to, what was the
Lactate.
Lactate.
lactate? Yes.
Yep.
So to have that and be able to perform at the highest level and get the maximum out of your performance, it helps increase the fact that you would be as fresh as possible and have longer shift without feeling it as much. So something that I kind of started with hearing from my trainer and just been. I started last year was the first year, and I actually never felt better during the games that I had in a while. So it was really a positive effect from my experience. And there's ways to tweak it and make it even better. So I kind of soft launch it. So right now I'm trying to improve and make it even better. So with the result and how I feel during the first year, I hope this next year is going to be even better and something that would help me even feel better, perform better, and hopefully help the team as well. So.
I love it. Yeah, and so I love that because Nomio's research, I think, is built around reducing lactate by up to 12%, and I like the product itself because it says that you shouldn't take it on non-extreme workout days, but only like super high intensity. So you're taking them pre-game or pre-big workouts as well.
So there's a different way to do about it. The one thing that I love about it too is that even though I'm all about performance and I mean it's obviously my job, there's research behind it that is also good to for you like your health as well. Like it helps with inflammation, it helps brain health and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like at the end of the day, just the way I want to live forever, that is something. If that's something that could help me have a better life as well, I'm all for it as well. So obviously, with the performance standpoint, I take it before games because you want to get that maximal effort. You can also use it after games to get the recovery, which it also helps with. So I'm trying as much as I can to use it only for the highest performance because then you get the extra spike. If you do it every day, your body gets used to it. So I want that spikes for game days. But then after a big game, after hard workouts, you can also use it recovery. So it's a little bit of a scheduling thing. You look at it, where can I have more benefits from it, or where could I actually stay away from it a little bit? So it's something that I'm learning a little bit more. Still working on it, but like I said, so far I've been nothing but like good positive experience from it. So I'm just eager to see the next level if that's going to give me even more. So and like I said, it like I know limited based of this, but that's why it's so good to have people that works for Nomio, my trainer that can help me steer the right way. So I'm always open to get that expertise from other people who knows it better than I do. So
So to that point, like, obviously the Sharks and every NHL team has like sports scientists, sleep coaches, nutritionalists, dietitians. Like, how much of this is, coming to you through the Sharks versus your own research? Like you said, you have someone you work with who's a doctor. Personally, where's that balance sort of coming from?
No, it's a great balance. And here's the thing. I mean, obviously the Sharks, we have great, our staff is amazing. They give you all the research and everything you need to have that succeed. Obviously, broccoli sprouts is based from Sweden, from a guy who's kind of like he's farming it on his own and find out that, oh wow, there's some positive effects from it. So it's kind of a new thing based from Sweden, which is maybe limited to the knowledge over here in the US. So that's why I think it's so interesting to get that first kind of look at it from Sweden and then bring it over here. And I show them and I tell them what I think about it and then get their feedback. So I think it's a great combination between the knowledge back home from Sweden, from that research, and over here as well, which just helps. Like, I mean, not only for me, I'm all for other people to try it as well. Because if it could help the team perform even better, like who wouldn't want your team to all feel a little bit closer to 100%. So that's why I feel like the combination with the Sharks and the training back home has been great. Yeah.
Are you going to try to get any of your teammates to try out Nomio? Maybe it'll help them out too.
Yeah, I mean, I tried a little bit last year, but here's the thing. I mean, everyone is different. I mean, obviously, being young as well, I remember if I had a great season, if I had great games, you try to stay with the same thing. So sometimes you don't want to get too much into superstitions. You want to stick to what you know works for you. I mean, I think it's great. Everyone's different. The placebo effect is one thing as well. If I do this, I'm going to play well. If I take this, even though it doesn't make any difference. So for me, it's just older and maybe more experience. I know, like, if there's stuff out there that could help me and actually works based from science, I'm all ears for it. So I'm trying to give that knowledge, and then everyone can make the choice for themselves. Because I think at the end of the day, you got to do what you think is best for you. You put in your body what you think is right, and I'm just going to be there and talk about how good I think it is, and then everyone can make their own decision based on that.
Love it. Speaking of placebos, personal placebo, right side of my gear always on before my left side of the gear. Right skate, left skate, right. So
yeah, I know, and that's the thing. It's crazy. You gotta have to do it because if you mess up, like you can't play that game, right?
No, then I gotta like take it off and go back.
Oh yeah, restart.
100%. So Alex, so let's do this. Let's do 1 through 10, and like you said, health is personal a lot of times. So I'll go through a couple of things. Like certain protocols for recovery and training. You tell me 1 through 10, 1 being a complete placebo or doesn't work, and then 10 being like really effective. You already touched on this, but a good night's sleep.
Oh, I think it's 10. I mean, if you're, everyone's different. I know I'm not a big napper, so like I actually don't nap during game days and stuff like that. So maybe my sleep is different from the rest, but I also know if I have a good night's sleep, it gives you that extra boost. I say it's a 10 with sleep for sure.
Are you a night owl or a morning person?
Neither, I would say. I just grind, whatever works.
I just grind. That's good.
Just grind.
Yeah. That's a good shirt.
All right. Nutrition, and what are you eating for games?
I mean, I'm actually kind of just go with, I think, I wish I would be more healthy with my eating. I mean, get your vegetables and all that kind of stuff. I also feel like what's good for the mind is good for the body as well. So what I think works for me and gives me that extra boost with the pasta plates and what that is. So food wise, I think it's important. But for me, I sometimes feel like if I'm just going with, I think is best for me rather than the best of quality, I think that would works better for me. So maybe a 6 or 7 on that one, something like that.
Okay. Cold plunge.
I would say a 2 or 3 for me. I mean,
really?
I try it.
Okay.
I try it. I like it. I know it makes different, but I don't think that makes any difference in my game. I do it more because of the placebo, because I think it gives a little bit of boost. But I wouldn't say that it affects my game more than the placebo. Yeah.
All right. Sauna.
Health wise, I think it's a 7, 8 or something, but it's just the fact that I don't use it enough for it to be. I'm more of an infrared guy because I know that's more health things. So I would say that would be up to 8, 9, but I wouldn't say it's that important that I would be like, this is a lock in my schedule. So more flexibility on the sauna. Yeah.
Okay. And then just any supplements or anything like that you're taking daily?
Yeah, I mean, in general, probiotics and get your omega-3s, all that kind of stuff. I think it's mixed between, I think it's really good for you. Do I really notice them? Not really, but I know it makes a difference. So it's a combination between that is good for the mind, that the placebo that I needed, because otherwise I'm missing out. But I'm putting it high up there because I feel like those kind of things gives you extra strength, extra things, extra boost that you kind of need. So I put it up there high. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And this one's super important to everyone. What are you doing with your hair treatment?
My hair treatment? Yeah. I mean,
I need that. I need tips.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
No,
How rude, Alex.
exactly. So, like you say, I go in no bucket before a game. So obviously, I prioritize the hair before any supplements. So
There you
yeah,
go.
100%.
I love it. Well, sort of something to sort of close up on the recovery stuff for your speed percentile, is super high in the league and amongst, the top percentiles in the leagues in terms of your speed and also distance skated in ice. So in terms of like working out as you get older, what's your balance of like resistance, strength training to cardio, and how much resistance training are you doing in the off season?
No, I mean, obviously, when you're younger, you work out a little bit different. It's more get those max reps, get that build that physicality, that strength to kind of like make it through. Now you're a little bit older, your mindset kind of switch and all that. So there's a lot of more injury prevents and get that like strong muscles. But something I always like mixed in is a lot of sprints with resistance. So during the summer, I actually try to stay off the ice as much as possible, get the rest, get the recovery, focus on those off season strength exercises that would help you get ready for a season. So a lot of sprints, a lot of lifting weights, heavy weights, just to kind of like get that body ready. And then usually around mid-July, August, and start ramping up on the ice. So that is something that I think helps me get that boost and get that off-season training to get ready for a season. And also to stay away from that is gets you excited about it. It gets you that hunger to kind of like get back out there when camp starts. So right now, kind of like in the prime spot when I'm back here, going to be stepping on the ice, which makes me just super excited and makes you enjoy the season even more because you get a little bit of break from it for me. So yeah.
I love it. Well, Alex, we really appreciate all this information, and I'll just tell you this from Shane and I's perspective. When we're up in the press box and early on, we'll be watching you, and we get excited about how you play under the puck and are playing defensive, and we're geeking out like we just scored a goal. We're like, you see that defensive play? That was sick. So we love that stuff. We love the way that you play the game. And thanks a lot for coming on, bud. We really appreciate it.
No, thank you very much and appreciate the kind words. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. Thank you for coming on to talk about Nomio, your recovery, and good luck this summer. Good luck with number 3, and I'll see you in September.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you guys.
Thanks, bud.
All righty, that was a great conversation with Alex Wennberg. Great convo about maybe putting up Ivar Stenberg. Also, too, fun conversation about his recovery methods and Nomio. Next up, we have interviews with 2 elite prospect scouts, Justine Kang and Eliza Morgan. They're going to talk about Sharks prospect scrimmage. We're going to do a roundtable also with Zubair and Keegan talking about all about what we saw in Sharks development camp, Sharks prospect scrimmage. But before we do that, let's talk Bring Hockey Back. Bring Hockey Back. That's a place you go to for your awesome Shark shirts like this, your Shark shirt. Custom hockey jerseys for your beer league team or for any occasion. Go to bringhockeyback.com. Bringhockeyback.com. Coupon code San Jose Hockey Now for 15% off. So once again, bringhockeyback.com. Coupon code San Jose Hockey Now. Alrighty, so we have on Eliza Morgan and Justine Kang. Follow Eliza on Twitter at, I love her handle, San Luis Sharks. Sanlose, Sharks. And Justine Kang, Justine, Yihekang. So all together, Justine, write that out, and Yihekang. So that's on Twitter. But anyway, both Eliza and Justine are new scouts for Elite Prospects. They'll be covering the NCAA. I think Eliza is also doing USHL. They both also happen to be big Sharks fans. Justine was at development camp. And so, yeah, wanted to get their perspectives about what they saw from Sharks prospects like Stenberg, like Wang, like Karmanov, Ryan Lynn, Verhoeff, etc., etc. Have a nice roundtable conversation with them and Zubair and Keegan. So anyway, welcome, Eliza and Justine. Eliza and Justine, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Woo! Thank you.
Welcome.
You were more excited, and now I feel like less. I'm also excited.
So
earlier
I just want to start off, go around the horn, and each of us, let's name a Sharks development camp prospect who stood out. And let's start with you, Eliza. Who's somebody that stood out in dev camp for you?
Yay. Okay. I'm gonna go with Ryan Lynn just because I was so excited when we drafted him, and I was really excited to, get to watch him play on the prospect scrimmage. I really liked offensively, I really liked what he was doing. He had a number of he'd be kind of on the side and, under pressure, and he'd get the puck out to a forward really well. I thought he looked really composed, really decisive. And then also what I liked was that offensively he wasn't I was watching some defensemen the other day, and he would always stay kind of behind, kind of on the blue line out of the play. Lynn, and I don't know how much of this was 4-on-4 versus, how much he'll normally play at a normal 5-on-5. That's the thing with the prospect scrimmage. It's
weird,
kind of hard to see because it's weird hockey, yeah.
Right.
But he would be, up at the net, crashing it a couple times. There was a slot pass, the puck came in front of the goal, he was there. So I thought that he showed, really good instincts, positioning, and just he looked really, really controlled. And so I really like to see that. And I fingers crossed for his next year going well because I think he could be a really, really good piece for us.
Well, yeah, I was just going to add to that point too. Was texting Jason JD about Ryan Lynn before he was doing his bite on him, and that's what I've seen from him as well last year. When you watch his tape in the offensive zone, particularly the way he moves off the puck and finds soft ice.
Yeah,
I don't see him as someone who is going to walk the blue line like a Cal McCarr or something like that yet. I mean, I wouldn't write it out, but he still has really good instincts off the puck. Particularly in the offensive zone. You wouldn't label him an offensive defenseman, but he's still that read to find soft ice is that instinct and IQ is super high.
Yeah, he's a big right place, right time guy, which, is great.
Yeah, defensively too. For a guy that's that small, he's very good defensively. Great positioning, great gap control, angles really well. I really I like his floor, even though he is a smaller guy, just because he's so smart defensively. And again, Mike Greer nailed that draft. I don't think we talked about it enough on the podcast, but he really nailed that draft in terms of getting restocking the defensive pipeline with those two dudes, because he really did awesome with Keaton Verhoeff.
Yeah, we needed right-handers.
Yeah. We didn't have much besides Polkamp, and we have Misskey and Roberts, but they're kind of long shot, longer term prospects. But yeah, really, really liked Ryan Lynn too.
Yeah, I guess just as fans, I know you guys are with the Elite Prospects too, but as fans, Justine and Eliza, how happy were you with the draft, especially the first round?
Loved the move up, and because I was watching this at a sports bar with a friend, and so when the Sharks were the Sharks are going to trade up, and then we were clutching each other, hoping that it would be Ryan Lynn.
Nice.
Yeah, I was especially was very happy about that pick because I think I think going into it, of course, it's like with my career's history of like picking like BPA, I was like fine with either Stenberg or Reed. That was kind of the big discussion there. So I didn't really have a ton of like thoughts about number 2. I was just like very curious with what we were gonna do with number 26. And I'm glad that like Ryan Lynn did fall and then we were able to trade up to get him there. Yeah.
Do you guys, general question, at DU, it's going to be Daxon Rudolph and Ryan Lynn going in, but Rudolph is going to be more of the power play guy, right? That's my understanding of things?
He's really good at that.
Okay.
I would assume. I mean, we don't know until I get there, but he was really good at it in the WHL, so he's probably going to be the number 1 power play guy.
And so,
nice at least for the start.
I think there's a reason why he went higher up, like his offensive upside, like what we've talked about this, when he has his flashes, and especially on the power play, his ability to dangle guys on the blue line, and he's not someone who could just like push and then steer to his right hand and go around guys. He can dangle across the body to his left side as well, which gives him a lot of options and you know, quarterbacking the power play. So, like I said, I think Ryan Lynn is really good at finding that soft ice, but I would be surprised, really happy for the Sharks if Ryan Lynn takes that role, but I think it's pretty clearly going to be Rudolph.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay. So if Lynn hits his potential, then is he? What do you guys kind of have as a comp maybe, or what have you read out there? Like, is he going to be more of kind of a two-way guy then, right? He's not a guy that necessarily is going to be, you know, point per game or anything like that, right? At least at NHL level.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jared Spurgeon's a good one because they're both smaller. Jared Spurgeon's even smaller than Lynn, but a guy that has offensive ability, has been on the power play at times in his career, puts up 30, 40 points a year, but has like very solid defensive metrics and, you know, has like heart and soul kind of guy qualities to him. I think that's probably a good one is that, even though Lynn's a couple inches taller, but they're both smaller defensemen.
Yeah, Eliza, did you have one?
Like, I have this weird thing about player comps where I'm like, I don't like them because I'm like, well, they're different in this one thing than this. No shade to you, Keegan. But
you get asked them all the time. It's like you have to bum up for the player comp. But I agree. Yeah. It's like it's either everybody just chooses the same nationality, or they like just choose the same height as a player.
Yeah, but I think he could be like, I would say like he could be a really solid top 4 guy. I'm going to be honest. I don't know that we have our 1D right now coming out of this draft for that. But I think like that's not to say, I mean, you look at the Panthers, right? Like you have defensively minded forwards, like 2-way forwards. And then you have, you know, just a bunch of really like pretty good D-men down the line. It's not, you know, clearly it worked for them. So it's not like an absolute, we're screwed if we don't get this, but you know, it would be nice, I think, to have. That's why I liked Reed, but I, you know, was disagreed with.
Yeah,
I really do agree with what Eliza said about also not super sure that we came out of this draft with the 1D, but I'm also not. I think like you can build a cup winning team with a lot of really solid like 2-3 guys, and you don't necessarily need that number 1 1D guy. I mean, of course you always want something like that. And I think like Lynn's definitely, I think his like defensively, that is a lot of what's been, I can't organize my like my sentences right now. People sing his defensive game a lot of praises, offense, and I think that's a little bit of why like he slipped over the course of the year, in addition to like the injury and like sitting out games. Was I think like when you're smaller like he is, people kind of expect, or there's like a typecasting that happens where people expect you to play or have more offensive like firepower. And I don't think like the door's closed on that yet. I think he'll end up a pretty good 2A guy, and we'll see how like Denver kind of goes for his development. Yeah.
So just to add to that, I do see, I think it's fair, Justine, to the point that you make that, like, just being smaller, you expect more offense. And that's why I do like, I'm similar, comps are hard because they're always a degree of separation. It's just the intrinsic point of an analogy. But to Keegan's point, I think Spurgeon's a good one in terms of like his commitment to the defensive side of the game. His neutral zone and ability to defend the rush because of his skating, I think, is his biggest asset. I would say his second biggest asset is really smart zone exits. I think his first pass is extremely smart. I think that he finds his outlets well, and his skating abilities allows him to give him time to get his forwards to get in position, and then he's able to strike them with the pass very strategically, almost surgically. And I think that's in itself a lot of value on a team. I think he'd be a great number 4 defenseman with a good number 3. And he can maybe work up and down your lineup because of his skating ability, top line, because he closes gaps on the rush really well. And then the other point I wanted to make to one of the points that the Panthers defended, and you have Ekblad, first round draft pick. But if you look at the reverse of that, when you have like the number 1 defenseman in the league, like Cal McCarr, you actually decrease your fault tolerance. As an organization. And we saw that happen with Minnesota in the second round, just breaking down Cal McCarr to the point where he's injured. You don't have him, you get swept in the third round because all your eggs are in that one basket. So I think something that's often overlooked is the increased fault tolerance by having defense by committee as an alternative to a number 1 and having your cap tied up in one defenseman. And similarly, Minnesota, Colorado really took advantage of their third pairing with Middleton. And the differential on that line versus the Hughes line was significant, again, because you have all your money in the Hughes line and Faber. So I think that there is also an organizational structure of salary cap that is very effective with distributing salary by a defense through committee. It gives you a lot more tolerance in a deep playoff run.
Well, I would say to that, though, that at least right now, both McCarr and Hughes don't make a lot of money. And so you can build around that, but they will starting next year.
Right now it's Byron.
Well, it's
yeah, exactly.
Well, it's not just, and it's not just money, though. It's ice time, exactly. It's not just the money; it's the opportunity, right? Yeah. Like also, like how many guys are tested on the power play after McCarr? He's playing, most of the PP1, so it's all of that stuff, right? And I think if you look at even some of Babcock's statement going into Edmonton right now, he had a lot of meetings with the core of that team and was basically talked to them about like, hey, are you okay with other guys in the team accepting these roles? I mean, we've seen tons of examples where you give these guys paying penalty kill, power play, every role under the sun, your core players, and then come in playoffs, those guys are out, can't play, and no one's ready to step up. I think there's some of that even could be stated with like Misa this year. Misa wasn't given the same opportunities as Macklin, and if he had just been drafted Macklin's year, he probably would have been given PP1 and a lot more opportunity. So I think ice time is actually more important than the salary cap component.
Let's go now to Justine then. Justine, who is your sort of prospect?
There's so many, it's hard to decide. I really liked Max Heise.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out how I want to word. I think I didn't watch him that much until this year and towards the end of the year more. And because I think I kind of built up an image of he was, scoring at a higher rate in the WHL this year than he was in the BCHL. And then he had a string of some multi-point games near the end of the season. So I was kind of expecting more of a scoring guy. But I really enjoyed his and he showed that too. He had a bunch of cool chances during the prospect scrimmage. But I actually really, what made him catch my eye during the scrimmage was there was this one part of, I think it was in the first half, where he just had a really good defensive effort, and then I think he lost his stick at one point, but he was still able to separate the puck from whoever the opponent was, and I think that just kind of stood out to me. Then I went and caught up a bit more with how his game was, watched it a bit more. I liked, and I think it was in like the media scrum afterwards, where he described like, oh, like I know I need to play a defensive game, kind of like prepping for that bottom six role, and that was just like a very good like positive impression. Yeah. And he's also going to Denver, so I guess we picked both of the guys going to Denver.
There we go. We just gotta get to Colorado.
Yeah, right. 2 Denver guys. I like that too. Max Heise had a good game, or Heise had a good game. It felt like he was all over the puck when he was out there. He's got a little bit of an interesting, some offensive flair to him. But like you said, he's got to probably round out his game more, and he seems to take ownership of the things that he wants to improve on. I like him as a player this year. After, to be honest, I didn't see him in his draft year at all because he was from the BCHL and was a year out. And then watched him at Prince Albert. He looked pretty good. So I like his improvement for sure, Justine.
Yeah, I guess like also it's kind of funny he's going with new Sharks teammate to DU with his Prince Albert teammate at the same time. Yeah. But I think also...
it's a pretty... Yeah, it's the whole, like, because of the pipeline of, like, the CHL guys to the NCAA, it feels like every player is just waiting on what college commitment they're going to have next, which is, like, not the way it used to be. So it's just interesting. 'Cause now I expect to be like, oh, where's he going to go for next year? Instead of being like, oh, they're obviously going to go back to their WHL team. It's just they're all moving over to college. Just interesting.
Yeah.
I definitely hope that this offseason he kind of like bulks up a little. I think he was also very aware of that. The college is kind of, I mean, the WHL is a pretty like physical league too. So maybe like college is kind of similar. But I am very excited to see how he kind of grows his game in college.
I mean, he's 6'3", 170.
Yeah.
So.
Pretty skinny for 6'3".
He looks it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But does he kind of project guys to like bottom six center then if it works out? Third line you're hoping, but maybe more likely fourth line?
I mean, that's the hope. The Sharks love collecting like centers that eventually become wingers. If you have enough of them, eventually we will have amazing bottom six centers and wingers, I guess.
I mean, I think it's easier for a center to switch to winger than a winger to switch to center. Makes sense. There's also the stuff about like, oh, like positions are fake, whatever, nothing matters. Like, you know, all equal, I'd still rather have the person who can play center.
And we did find out something really cool. I think actually, Justine, I think we were talking about it at Dev Camp that Max Heise's grandfather is Frank McCool, which is one of the most awesome hockey names ever. And if you guys don't know Frank McCool, he won the Calder Trophy in 1945. He won the Stanley Cup that year too with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And actually, he only played 2 NHL seasons, and I don't know why, but that's still though he has one of the coolest hockey names that I've ever seen. Yeah, goalie Frank McCool. So that is Max Heise's grandfather, and we didn't get to ask him about it, right? And so we'll have to ask him about it.
I only like realized it, I think like afterwards. I was like, oh, there was like this cool thing we could have like asked him about.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It's not even recorded on Elite Prospects. You guys got to get them like on that.
It's not? Okay. Yeah.
I don't think so.
I was gonna say, I think like the Elite Prospects, the like statistics information is like it's operated by or kind of works separately from where we're like working. But yeah, they're kind of sometimes with like college commitments and like family relationships and specifically for college commitments, like the exact year they're going, they're kind of sometimes not matched up, especially if the guy is just like less well known, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're normally pretty good about the relationships. But you're right, the college stuff is sometimes in flux.
It's pretty fun to go and look at like who's related to who, and like you go on the page for some guy and you see his little brother, and then like kind of keep eyes like, hey, is he gonna overtake his older brother? We'll see.
Well, that's actually what happened with Justin Graff and Colin Graff, because a couple years ago, you look at Colin's elite prospects. Oh, he has a younger brother or whatever. And his brother gets drafted and Colin doesn't. But all right, Zubair, who is your guy?
Yeah, so for me, it's Keaton Verhoeff. We've talked about him quite a bit. And, I sent the clip I sent to Boilers was of his, according to JD, his worst game. But I think so Boilers didn't get a full read, but he's catching up on some tape on him as well. But I have concerns about Verhoeff, and my concerns are that I think that he's more of a project than people realize. But you also have to sort of adjust that scale to him being 17 in the NCAA in a season where the NCAA got better. And so it was fun to see him, in a 4-on-4 skate, a little more casual. And you kind of see some of the stuff as to why he was so touted before the NCAA season, where, he's flashing some of those skills, his hands, attacking the middle of the ice, his vision, just his skill set. A nice sauce pass over a defender across the crease to find someone backdoor while skating backwards. And his skating is my biggest concern. But, Keegan and I were talking about this in the pre-chats. Guys that are that big, that young, the analogy I'd use is you adjust your stick by half an inch, completely changes and throws you off. And imagine growing that fast so young. They're constantly, sort of growing into their body. So I have a little bit more grace for prospects that are that large, that young, because it just takes that much longer to sort of learn your body. We saw that a little bit with Wang. I think he's still figuring out his size. But really good, and you saw some of that like high-end dread I think sometimes got lost in this last season in the NCAA, because he's just, I think, trying to keep up with the bigger bodies and pace. So I'm just hoping he has a really great season this year.
All right. Well, you guys had mentioned, Justine and Eliza, that you weren't necessarily seeing Verhoeff as he can become that, but right now not necessarily feeling as safe that he's going to be your number one defenseman. And so it sounds like Zubair agrees with that. So is it for you guys? Is it also kind of the skating that's a question mark, or what are your question marks with Verhoeff? And what did you like about him in camp?
I agree with you, Zubair. He did have a number of flashes. I like the sauce pass. He had the puck right in front of the net, got some dangles in, got a good shot off. That was nice to see. The thing is, I was watching him in the WHL on the Royals, and then watching him this year is, there has been a change, is how I'll say it, which, partially, I guess, due to the bigger, faster, stronger league. And, the skating is now a little more exposed. I will say I don't sometimes I worry about like IQ, like hockey IQ, because that's like kind of one of the things that you have it, you don't, you can work at it, but it comes or it doesn't. That's not a concern for me to him, but I think what he is able to do right now with his skating is really limited. So it's like I can kind of tell from his flashes, he sees it, like he knows the play. He just doesn't, as of right now, have the technical ability to be making it. Like in his own zone, there were a couple of times where he was just, hemmed in, couldn't get the breakout pass out. That gives me concern, if the skating isn't there, because that's such a big issue with the Sharks. That's part of why I loved Reed, is because so much of our time last season was spent just trying to break out of our zone, which, is sometimes successful and oftentimes not successful. I think sometimes I timed it. It took like a little while sometimes. But yeah, I like where we took him. I think he's worth where we took him, and, works on his skating, becomes able to make some of those plays that I know he sees. I saw him make them in the WHL. I know he can do it. I know he can see how to do it. I just don't think in the league he's in right now, he has the ability to be making them. And so, I think the Sharks said he's going back to Nodak. Great. get his skating up, get him able to start making those plays in the league again. I imagine like, you come from the WHL and then you get to the NCAA, and it's like, I imagine it's not the best thing for your confidence either as a player. So I want to avoid like he goes up, and then he's like shell shocked. Like I think we saw, geez, like Kevin Korchinski happen to him too much too soon. But I think Nodak's a great place for him next season. I think he knows what he needs to work on. I don't think there's anything fundamental to the way he. Oh, sorry, this is beeping. To the way he's thinking. But I think I'm happy with where we took him. Happy with what we're seeing. Next year is going to be huge for him in terms of what he's able to bring to the table for the Sharks.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that IQ is hard to sort of develop later. Though you could see some pros areas, and you're right. He was two different players from the WHL to the NCAA, and I mean he's just so young, and did see some good skating in the prospect scrimmage, and obviously we can't read too much into that game, but he had some pressure, and his edge work looked really good, the way he would hook back and innovate and stuff like that, and I saw better IQ, and that made me sort of deter from my perspective as so much it is processing speed. And I think, Sam Dickinson talked about this, that, in the OH season, and a lot of that processing game getting faster, and you just have to get faster. And then the game sort of slows down for you. And again, his edge work does need a lot of help. And I think what I saw from him in the NCAA when I really tried to look at and analyze his skating is, what happens oftentimes is when you're really competing at a high rate, and the game's really fast, you sort of revert to your old habits. And I saw him revert to old habits of just trying to bull his way through and closing gaps. And you do notice him back off, in the neutral zone and leave a large gap and using his size. And obviously, his size is going to be somewhat negated if he ever plays in the NHL, which we expect him to. So he's going to have to figure out the skating aspect, to your point, to find those lanes. But I actually liked some of his IQ more than I thought, and realized from my perspective, it was actually more of just the speed of the game. And so I think he has a lot of opportunity to be more efficient with his stride, a lot of wasted energy, the way he pushes off. We had a good segment with Wennberg, actually, just very point in sort of the evolution in his skating. And I think that there's lots of opportunity there. And just being drafted by the Sharks, I think he'll have an abundance of resources and help through this next year. So I think he'll get there. I'm actually a little more prospect skimmage, because I saw some of that stuff that I was afraid may have left him, or he might lose some confidence. Mm-hmm. But he showed that confidence again, and so I think he's got a good attitude, and it was his decision to go to the NCAA and really challenge himself at that age, and I respect that, and I think that shows good strong agency and mental health. That if I had to choose and put a gun to my head, I'd bet on him, actually, more than I would have thought.
Yeah. No, I do think, though, like, this scrimmage, you'd watch it, and then you'd watch Stenberg get the puck, and you'd feel like you were watching it in 1.2 speed sometimes with just how fast he was. I mean, we haven't really talked about him, I think, because we all know we're on the same page, but with just how fast he was going, how fast he was thinking, how fast his hands were compared to everyone else, it was like, like fast forwarding. Yeah. So I do, like, I tend to put a little more weight on Verhoeff in the NCAA, because I felt like the pace of that scrimmage was maybe a little slower than you see in the NCAA.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
With the exception of Stenberg.
And a lot more space on there, 4-on-4.
Yeah. A lot more space, a lot more time.
Keegan, your turn. Who stood out for you? Yes.
Okay. Well, you guys did choose a lot of guys that I liked, because I did like Max, and I liked Ryan Lynn, and I think Verhoeff had a good showing. You guys left me Stenberg, which is awesome. Can I just talk about Stenberg for like 5 minutes?
Yeah. Right before my turn, too. Go ahead.
Well, you can talk about Stenberg if you want. It's up to one of us has to, so it's either me or you. What do you want to do, Shay?
No, you go ahead. Yeah, I got something different, actually. So
yeah, I think Stenberg was probably you guys mentioned, probably just looked the most comfortable, the most even like, I don't want to say the word nonchalant because he's not a nonchalant guy, but like, just the game comes so easy to him. It just seems like he is always ahead of the play. He knows where he's going to go. His playmaking is excellent. His speed is excellent. His deception is great. He looked a cut above everybody there. And that's like what we saw with Macklin when he played. And like, it just is, it's exciting to see another forward prospect that's going to get added to this group that's that good, because he really is that good. And if you told me the beginning of this draft year, because we were doing our like preview of the draft in like August last year after the Holinka, and I was like, oh yeah, I really liked Ryan Lynn. Oh yeah, Keaton Verhoeff's a monster. Oh yeah, Stenberg's awesome. And we got all three of them. It was like all those dudes would be in my like preseason top 10, and then we got all of them. And that's like an amazing draft. So anyway, yeah, I think Stenberg he's gonna be awesome in San Jose. So it is a good pick. I do agree that we are still gonna be missing our like pace pusher from the blue line like Chase Reed. But you know, there will be other opportunities or other ways to get that guy, or maybe we don't. But either way, Stenberg was a great pick, and I think, yeah, he's just so comfortable. That's the best way to describe him. Just he knows how where to put the puck. And this was 3-on-3, so obviously things are like a little different. But yeah, I thought he was my standout guy.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's someone who can drive a line. I kind of hope that we don't, or I have no say in anything with the Sharks, despite the emails I send to the like thing where you can email management, and I'm like, can we try it? Like
they never respond.
They never respond, and I'm probably not going to be able to get tickets soon. But I would really love to see him on a line with Misa instead of on the Mac-Will line, because like the Mac-Will line, I feel like Chernyshov is, the natural smart fit, right?
Yep.
He can dig pucks out, he can win battles, get it to Mac, get it to Will. Stenberg, I feel like what he can do would be overshadowed by what Macklin would be doing. Kind of like you guys were talking earlier about how like on the Oilers there are all these players who don't get any like PP time, PK time, and then it comes to the point and you're like, well, if they'd gotten more, maybe that would be better. So I do really want to see him kind of on that line with Misa. I just think they complement each other a little better. I think, when you have Mac, the one doing everything, then it's like, how do we develop everyone as opposed to like just letting Mac do everything? Like I like when they put Will on his own line a couple games last season, but that's what I would love to see, because I mean I assume he's coming straight to the NHL. I would be surprised if he wasn't. Yeah, no, I would really love to see Stenberg on Misa's line this season, because like I said before, the great audio disruption at 2026. I really do think that Chernyshov, first of all, really the right guy to be on Mac and Will's line. Win more battles, dig pucks out of the corner.
Yeah, makes sense.
Get it to Mac to break it out. Get it to Will up in the offensive zone. Stenberg, I feel like he's the guy who can drive a line. He's like, people are saying like, oh, he's the better Eklund. Eklund, can drive his line. So I'd really love to see him with Misa on that second line, maybe, with Graf, maybe, I'm not too certain on who the best forward would be. No, I'd probably, thinking about it, I'd probably put Marchment over Sherwood there, but that can be a fun experiment, like, just see what works. But yeah, I really do want to see Stenberg and Misa together, because, if you can have that as your second line, like, oh my gosh, like that is nice to have.
I think there is an agreement, and you alluded to this, Eliza, and I don't think anybody here is going to disagree, that Stenberg does look very NHL-ready. Yeah. And I know that it's hard to say that just watching Dev Camp, because obviously he's competing against players that are not NHLers. But in the same way with Macklin, you could tell Macklin was NHL-ready. Just his pace, how fast he played the game, was so many degrees higher in Dev Camp than everybody else. And you just sort of assume that that's going to translate to the NHL, which it did. And I think that I see something similar with Stenberg, maybe not quite at the Macklin pace, because that's Macklin, IHF Male Player of the Year in just his second NHL season, right? But still, you see some of the similarity with that with Stenberg, and that's, I think, the biggest reason why I think everybody feels very confident, Sharks included, feel very confident that he is going to start the season in NHL and be ready for a decent size role. And Keegan, you kind of alluded to the nonchalantness, and that you didn't mean that in a bad way, but like his goal, right? The goal he scored, right, was just so like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna dummy everybody, and so that's kind of example of just how much faster that he is playing than everybody else. And I expect to see that during the rookie faceoff upcoming and exhibition season and so on. Okay, I guess it's my turn.
Yeah.
All right, Shangers.
You get you have to pick whoever's left. I mean,
yeah. So actually the guy who stood out to me besides Stenberg obviously was Wang. And what I saw with Wang this development camp is actually improvement in something he's already very good at, which is his skating. And I saw just a lot more fluidness in his skating. I thought the four-way mobility for him was smoother than last year, and I think that is a good sort of. It's a good sign for things to come for him. He is still a project, obviously. I think the processing part, just the hockey IQ part still needs some work. But I like that growth in something that is already, again, a skill of his, but I think that it got even better. He looked the part more so this development camp than the last development camp. And so I know that a lot of people kind of, because he is such a project, and even though he was a second round pick, he's kind of like fallen behind, like in some prospects rankings, Sharks prospects rankings, even ours, admittedly, like the one we did post trade deadline. But I like what I saw of him. So like I'm not how do you say it at this moment for the Sharks, like I'm still feeling pretty optimistic about that pick.
So Keegan and I were talking about this before we started shooting, and I think we're gonna have our first debate. I thought Wang looked pretty bad and was expecting more from him. Again, putting things in the context of the prospect scrimmage, more time and space. It's a friendly game in so many ways. You're right, though. His skating is always looked good. I think it still looked good, but every time he had the puck, he was losing it. He was getting forechecked. He was getting picked off. And Keegan, we saw this when we first drafted him. We were watching him. Like, he'll fight back and he'll push and he'll get the puck back, but he loses it so frequently. And then also his triangle is like, he loses his skating. He gets sort of hampered when he tries to handle the puck in his triangle. And that's where his skating, I think, looks like he needs to adjust his stance. And again, it goes back to what I said earlier. Maybe it's a size thing. Anytime you're that size, that young, I think there's a lot of an adjustment. But watching him in the prospects scrimmage, I was hoping that there would be some more. And again, maybe his game is better at a heavier, bigger game when he can, deploy that physicality, which you're not doing as much on a prospect scrimmage. But I was actually disappointed in what I saw with him. And then the other thing is, you can be a beautiful skater, but if you're taking the wrong lanes, what's the point? And I think that he'll trap himself a lot with the lanes that he picks. It's something Keegan and I were speaking about as well. So, but Keegan also liked what he saw. So, Yeah,
I was kind of more on your side, Shang, but yeah. I think I'm going to run like right in the middle, like I always do. Just pick the neutral pick on him. I liked what you were saying, Shang. His skating still looks good. He has a lot of confidence carrying the puck. He doesn't really always know where he's going with it when he gets it. Like, he'll skate himself, like you said, into the wrong lane. He'll skate himself into the wall. He'll skate himself into the corner, and then it just kind of can lose the puck pretty frequently with that. And I think the reason why I was thinking he did better is because I remember last year being like, really, I am not sure. Just based off of what I saw then, he wasn't really using his teammates well at all either. I think there's an improvement of that. So Skating's still good. He's getting a little bit better at recognizing space where he should be on the ice and where his teammates are. There's still a lot of the rest of the decision making to go, but a little bit better. So I still remain optimistic, like you, Shang. Just not. But
Yeah.
I get you.
Yeah, one attribute I think is crucial in a defenseman, and a defenseman with size, is like your board battles. Like, most of the game is played on the boards, and I haven't seen him win a puck in the boards. And this is something I didn't see with him last year. I didn't see it this entire prospect scrimmage. I watched a little bit of tape of him this last season. And he really struggles in board play. And if you're losing board battles in the defensive zone, I don't think you have a chance. So I want to see improvement there, and I just didn't see that. And when he does have the puck, smaller guys are ripping the puck off of him. You'll notice a lot of like stick checking high on his stick, and boom, puck's gone. So that's where my concerns are. But the skating is great. I can't disagree with skating for his size. Great edge work, great crossovers. Like, he looks good there. And you guys have a say on one side of it?
Took him last year. I agree that he looks a lot better this year. I agree with most of your criticisms. On one hand, like, the prospect scrimmage, the 4-on-4, if you're someone whose game is like physical, like space, and there's more of it, it's 4v4, 3v3, like, that sucks for you, right? Because that's like your bread and butter. So, like, that is, I think, something worth acknowledging. On the other hand, though, you have less pressure on you, like we were talking earlier about Verhoeff. So the fact that, those stick checks were still happening, those puck losses were still happening, is probably something that would, on the other hand, be magnified in 5-on-5, at this current, if the prospect scrimmage were 5-on-5. So I think, like, I hope he continues to get better. I think he had one where he, like, there were like 3 guys on him, and he tried to do a spin move to get a shot off a goal, and it didn't work. But, good for him for trying and, like, having fun. So, like, he seems to me like he's still kind of trying to figure out a lot about his game, which makes sense because he started, playing later. And, you have people who've been playing for a really long, like, since they were teeny tiny, who are older than him, who are still trying to figure out his game. So, like, I agree, the physicality, the board battles, that's something you really want to see him winning. But at this, like, he's improving. I think it's kind of like, put a pin in it, wait a year, see what happens, especially now that he's going to Boston, where Greer loves people to be.
Yeah, I thought I guess like the Karmanov pick this year is sort of like the Wang pick, but on steroids. Sure. Like, in terms of being very large.
We're not saying anyone's on steroids.
That was a bad turn of phrase.
But it was good, though.
Yes. Let's say it was the Electric Boogaloo version of the Wang pick.
What was Team England taking? I can't say that.
In that you get a very large guy. Yeah. Wang looks like normal height to me now. It's crazy.
Yeah, right.
With the knowledge that he's going to be a project. I think I also saw, like, kind of similar to what you said, Eliza. He just, like, tries a lot of different things during the scrimmage, and I that's, like, in a way that's, like, kind of fun to see. I think he can be very, like, overcommit to play sometimes, and, like, be too aggressive with like his checks, or like sometimes his reads can be a bit like wrong there. But I think it was always the plan that he was going to go to Boston University this coming season, right? I didn't know how I like felt about that after like this current season, and I think like he can probably make it work. There's like definitely a jump when you get to the NCAA, and I wonder if like, how do I word, like the role that he's going to play on Boston is going to be the best for his development versus maybe staying in the O, where he can kind of take on a bigger role again. Especially like, I mean like right now the NCHC is like all the buzz, but the Hockey East is still like a really tough conference to compete in. But I don't know, I am like I like that he kind of tries, especially because prospect scrimmage is a bit like lower stakes. I like seeing him kind of like try things, and he has interesting offensive ideas sometimes. But I definitely still a project. And I think sometimes people get overly high or overly low on him. And you kind of lose like, I guess like where he actually sits in terms of like the development timeline. But yeah, 4 years at Boston College. I mean, oh my God, Boston University. That's like the number one mistake.
That you're done.
That's a Boston
delete your
College.
Twitter.
Oh, I can't do this. Edit that out. 4 years at BU, and then we'll see from there.
Yeah,
I just said in Boston because I didn't want to even risk it.
I thought there was improvement in his play in tight and boards. This is also including the practices too. So from last year, and I do feel like with his frame, that's something that you can get better at. I have no question that that's something that he can get a lot better at. And so if he's not that good at it now, that's something that he can learn. The processing part there's going to be concern there because that's maybe not as natural. And the skating part of it, like I said, he looked a lot more. Last year when I watched him, like the straight line speed was good, but then some of the like you mentioned, Zubair, like with the puck, like just looked a little bit awkward. But this year I thought it was a lot. It was a big difference for me. And so, not saying that, yeah, he's on his way to being like a top 4 AHL defenseman, but I still like the growth quite a bit. And so, yeah, I'm just guardedly optimistic about the pick. So.
And also to Shang's point, Shangers is watching all the practices. I'm not there this year, like I was the last couple of years, so I haven't seen all the practices. And there's obviously that is a better read actually than the prospect scrimmage. So, I'm excited to watch more of them this year.
Yeah,
I would add too, just to mention that at the prospect scrimmages, if anyone listening, if you guys get to go to the practices, that they do a 2-on-2 kind of small area game. And there's, you guys probably saw some video that I posted of and other people posted of the 2-on-2s. And those are actually maybe the closest approximation to like pro hockey that they do at the prospect scrimmage, because it's just, you have to do a lot of in tight kind of decision making. And that's actually where you can see how good Stenberg was,
Yep.
because Stenberg was actually arguably more impressive in those 2-on-2s in those small areas than he was in the 4-on-4. And so, yeah, so I'm agreeing with you, Zubair, but I just want to mention that to anybody who gets a chance to go to Dev Camp next year, that might be sort of the best thing to watch of everything out there.
Absolutely. And that clip that on our Instagram of Stenberg that you posted, it's absolutely stunning. Like the way that he embraces contact. And we talked about this before. I think that's where he gets, the comp for Peter Forsberg. And again, that's just showing that he played in the big boys league. Right. And you're seeing that, and you're seeing that confidence in him translate to the prospect scrimmage. And we talked about the goal, but what I liked about that goal that he did was the poise. And again, it goes back to playing in a faster, bigger league, and then the game kind of slows down for you. And when he tucked that puck underneath, and dangled that guy in the slot. And so I think that's a good point. And then the 2-on-2s, like just his ability to play in tight and hold on pucks and win puck battles. And I do think that, though, to the point you made with Wang is your body can do a lot with that, but it is a lot of hockey IQ in the boards. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of timing. It's a lot of delaying, actually, embracing contact, knowing when to stick lift, when to come over the puck versus under. Who are you up against, a bigger guy or a smaller guy? That changes the strategy in the boards. So, and I just haven't seen him win any pucks. And he does have size. And that's a lot of body positioning. And again, that's skating in tight. And I think one thing I will say about Wang's skating that I didn't mention is he looks really good in stride. But I think where he struggles is when he's not moving his feet. And there are times in the boards of defenseman where you're not moving your feet, and that's where he looks really awkward. And I think that might be, I'll watch some more tape on this, but I I think that is sometimes the issue. He looks good in stride when he's moving and he's very fluent, but when he's not, he struggles.
Yeah. To last a point I want to make about, or that Justine brought up, was should he go back to the OHL or the NCAA thing? Because I agree with you. I think if he goes to the NCAA, he's going to go to the NCAA, right? That's probably confirmed. But
yeah,
I think they'll maybe get rid of a lot of that like specialness that he's displaying. Like, special is not the right word, but the like uniqueness in the way he plays. Like a lot of that, I'm going to try everything, puck rushing kind of style that he has at certain points. It's not effective always. It's kind of hit or miss of whether or not it actually produces anything. But I think a lot of that's going to get ironed out, and we'll probably see a very different player at the end of college. But I wonder if he would have gone back for one more year, could he develop that actual puck rushing ability that you really could get from an offensive defenseman? I don't know, but I don't think he's going to be able to do that in college. So if he does, that's amazing. But I don't think he's going to be able to, just based off of a lot of the other factors with his game. So we might just get a different Haoxi Wang at the end of it, like it's just going to be a different player.
I did want to note that there was a growth in a tangible growth in his game this past year. The year before his draft year, when the Sharks drafted him, he was a bottom pairing defenseman in the OHL. By the playoffs this year with Niagara, he was a top pairing defenseman for them. Not saying that he is going to be a top pairing defenseman in the NHL, or that, that speaks to maybe Niagara's team too. But they were a playoff team, and he was playing top pairing minutes for them. He's playing 23, 24 minutes a night. So I just wanted to say that on his growth, kind of his development. And in terms of the argument for OHL versus NCAA, he may have something that akin to the Verhoeff thing, right? Where, yeah, he could stay in the OHL and get to the point of maybe dominating it this year as an older player there. But he's challenging himself by going to BU, and I think it's going to be a good challenge for him.
Yeah, I think so too. I think what we'll see this year is like kind of what Wang is going to be in terms of a player. I think like, what's his profile type of a defensive player, and I don't see the offensive side long-term coming out of him. I think that if he's going to be effective NHLer and get 400 games in the show, I think it's going to be a lot of him having to play a really good defensive game.
Yeah, and which makes sense going to BU. Yeah, just sorry to interrupt there, but yeah,
exactly. And I think that it will be defined this year. Because to the points you guys are making of him trying stuff, I would push back and say, what has he tried that's ever worked? At some point, I would want to say, like, dude, stop trying that stuff. Like, stick to the defensive side of the game. That's if I was going to look at him as a player, I'd be like, dude, that stuff doesn't work. You turn over the puck.
Well, I would also assume that he's not trying this stuff with Niagara as much, because it just doesn't belong there either, right? So,
every once in a while, every once in a while, I think he may put himself in certain positions and then try to experiment how to get his way out of it. It might just be that I'm seeing too, as opposed to an intentful, try to do something. And a lot of times those things that he tries, like, they're really bad reads. Like the one you're talking about with the spin around. He had 3 guys on him. Like the safe play is to move that puck really quick. Of like, can we coach this out of you? Like, because are you going to ever be that player? And I don't know if he ever will. I think his game in the NHL is a really good skating defenseman that can collapse on guys on the rush, like Keegan said, because he can skate well, he can surf the neutral zone and turn plays over and use his size, be physical, and he'd have to get good in the boards. He'd have to use his skating. I would like to see some more breakout passes that are connecting, but I don't even think that's necessary if he plays a really defensive game. But I think that profile is going to be, this is a definitive year for him.
Very, very coachable.
Yeah.
So if he's trying stuff, then he's not trying it in defiance of anybody or whatever. He's just trying it because whatever. That's just what he sees, or that's what, or maybe he's been given the green light. And so I think that's why I think there is maybe more optimism maybe within the Sharks organization for Wang than maybe outside of it. Like if you look at like prospect rankings outside of the Sharks organization, because I think they know how coachable he seems to be. And so the things that you're saying that, he needs to beat this in the NHL, I think that's something that he will embrace. And I don't worry that he's going to try to be trying to dangle three forecheckers or whatever, at the AHL level.
Yeah.
And so
Celebrini does,
yeah.
so you don't know.
Yeah.
That's true.
It is true. It is true.
Yeah, I definitely see the, like, I guess, kind of like there's pros and cons to both sides of staying in the O and going to the NCAA. Like, I want to say the comparison that's coming to mind is with kind of like that when the Sharks were really terrible, and then the kind of like fan consensus was like, oh, just let the kids like run around and like try things and make mistakes and learn, right? I think there was kind of a similar thing where, to your credit, like Niagara, they did make playoffs. Oshawa was looking to be a decent team before they started like selling everyone, including Haoxi Wang. But there is, I think, you get a lot more ice time and you get a lot more freedom when you're on like a kind of terrible team where you're better versus when you go to college and there's just, the sort of guys that BU recruits. And I do think it will also be good though for him to kind of learn within college like a structured type of style that you don't always have in the OHL. Sometimes, things always get like chaotic no matter which league you're in. But I think with BU's kind of like history and pedigree, I think, and especially if you're kind of like hoping that he'll become a certain kind of archetype in the future in the NHL, it's also like still not a bad idea to kind of like send him and have him start to learn how to basically play his role within that system.
That's a great point.
And I'll just transition us to the next, and like I just want to taper back also, like how incredible to get into hockey when he did and now be playing in the NCAA. And also, like, to Shang's point about the Merkley thing, like very coachable by any means. Just what I saw from this game, I was more disappointed than impressed. But yeah. All right. Anyone else you guys want to mention or talk about in the prospect scrimmage?
Well, I did want to ask Justine about one, but go ahead though. Yeah. Eliza.
Yeah, I feel like we should talk about Gustafson.
Yeah, that's actually what I was just thinking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. No, he was going after it, which I guess makes sense because like probably a bunch of his friends and family were there, and I would be like doing my best to show out too. But I was really impressed by his motor. He had a great goal. I have more notes about him that I want to read really quick. There was a great sequence with him and Nicholas where Nicholas got it past to Gustafson. Gustafson fed him right in front of the net. Really like that. I was pleasantly surprised. I hadn't seen much of him before we drafted him.
Yeah, and Justine, what'd you see?
I'd also not really like read anything, watched anything, followed him at all prior to the draft. And I think there is that kind of, the connection. People are quick to even jokingly say like, oh, Nepo baby. But he's actually was a very solid pick for where he went. And I really liked also, this was not during the scrimmage, but during practices, I thought he looked like the best skater during all the skating drills, like both days. He was a standout on kind of that front to me. And I think also during the game, I was impressed with, again, like kind of that like offensive instinct that he had. Mm-hmm. Because I think I also asked him about this during the media scrums, but like he had a sort of like bottom six more role in Portland this year. And it's like his defensive game is like very emphasized. But I think like to kind of see those sparks and like flashes of offense was just like really interesting. I think he looked really good during the prospects scrimmage too.
And just to your point, that goal he scored was a great defensive play, right?
Yeah.
He opened up his skate.
Took it from Rimashevsky, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. It was going through. He turned his skate sideways, horizontal, was able to push the puck off, and it was a good read on the defensive side too. So good point.
It's funny you mentioned Rimashevsky because I thought he and Gustafson had the like biggest motors. Like Rimashevsky like lost the face off and then just right over there, and I was like, all right, like.
I was super disappointed to hear that he was going back to the KHL. I thought he would have been really fun with the CUDA this year, actually.
It would have
Yeah,
been. I think you. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted. I did think that he's a bit older, so maybe that's why he did have a little bit more impact. But he definitely did have, like, he was all over the puck, good or bad, right? But he was all over the puck for the teal side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And he is
No,
a bit
I was
older,
about
but
to.
sorry.
No, sorry. I was just about to mention like the good or bad. Like there were a few times where I thought he was like overextending, trying to make a play he shouldn't have. He shouldn't have made. Kind of waited a second. Been a bit more than for a setup. But I mean the dog per 60 or whatever was there, which was fun to watch.
Yeah, and I was also gonna say he was. I think in my head he like felt older than he actually is. He's a 2023 pick, and that was like his first year eligible too. We had sometimes we have like a bunch of like overagers taken or like re-entries who are drafted, and that's also a favorite of mine. But he's only 21, so I was like, it's definitely older for prospect scrimmage, but I think like not too bad, especially considering you have like sort of the guys who like came over to the CUDA at the end of last season who played 4 years of NCAA, like still good.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will talk a little bit about Karmanov because I think it's important to talk about him. And obviously, I guess what we saw on the ice was very much. I mean, to put it nicely, it's a huge project. It's comparing to Wang last year and even this year, right? In terms of like, there kind of is like no comparison because like he's I think way behind that to be honest at the moment. But again though, I think the bet that the Sharks made there, I did have I wanted to okay, so this was executive who is very familiar with what's going on. He just texted me about Karmanov, and he watched the prospect scrimmage, and he thinks that this is somebody who's going to be able to play. Maybe not quite at the moment, but that the tools are there. And one of my favorite plays was actually from Karmanov, if you guys remember, is he took the puck off of Gallant.
Was that the one where Gallant just like completely tried to avoid? I think I remember the Gallant side of that. Yeah. It was very funny to me. I think he just avoided the hit completely.
Yeah. Well, he tried to attack the middle of the ice on Karmanov. Karmanov just like it's like no, that's not happening. So, but anyway, though, this exec though, he really likes Guy Godowski of Penn State. And so he is predicting that Karmanov's going to be a player in a couple of years. And it's going to take some time there, but obviously if Penn State wants him, that it's not just for, it's for hockey reasons. It's not for sideshow reasons. So just like the Sharks, that they see something that they can work with. And so give it a couple of years, basically.
I think in 2 years, Gavin McKenna is going to have played more NHL games than every other guy who went through Penn State hockey, or there's some statistic like that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I know.
Are you not a fan of Godowski? Are you guys not a fan? This guy I talked to is, but
I believe in Reese Lawback.
I mean, the Gavin thing, for example, like last season, they were having him cheat for offense, and they had nobody follow him up, and it was like, okay, like something you kind of got to pick. And I mean, obviously they sorted it out in the second half, and Gavin had a few growing pains as well. But I don't know. I thought Karmanov had some good moments, and then I thought there were some moments where, like when he starfished, and be the 3-on-1 by just lying down, like great, okay, maybe he just does that and he's awesome. I don't know, but I think the thing that like kind of what Zubar was saying earlier, when you're big though, is you have a lot of inertia. It takes you a while to get up to speed. So I think that's maybe something that kind of is working against him a little, because I see people mention his height and it's normally as a positive. But, if you're trying to get down in spaces like with your stick, trying to speed up, change pace really quick, that's harder to do if you have a bigger frame. So I do see his size as both, a natural advantage and a natural limitation.
Yeah, did you
many
guys notice?
years.
Did you guys notice that one rush that he had, like almost went coast to coast and then just shot it into the guy's shin guards? So I that's the stuff that I see from him that I really like. Like, I don't think that you have to be. So it's deceptive, I think, when you watch, 7-1 player versus like a Gallant or like even a Stenberg, is like there's a deceptiveness in their speed, right? Like, so you watch a Karmanov and he's covering more ice, but he's not pumping his legs at the same rate. And he has a really long stride and so naturally. And so, like, I love what I saw there. And I thought he had better usage of his body than Wang to make that comparison.
No, I don't know if I agree with that, but anyway, it's fine.
The reason I do is because his puck protection on that play was wonderful. It was perfect. He got around two guys, took it from our zone all the way, crossed all three zones effortlessly. And he had a glide. He had I don't think his skating is compared to Wang, but it's his puck protection with his size that he used to his advantage. And then I think he was moving at a higher speed than you probably give him credit for, because you're not seeing his legs pumping like a Connor McDavid. It was more of a Chara sort of frame and the way that he built his stride around the puck protection. And I really liked it. I think I liked what he did with the puck more than, again, I don't want to keep making this comparison, but more than I've seen Wang carry the puck. And so I like it. I think I was more impressed than not with his puck protection and his skating. And I think that he has a lot of room to grow, and it's definitely a project, but I like the bet.
Hopefully not upwards anymore. He needs to stop. He needs to stop. Not try to grow anymore. Because, I don't know. There's a lot of it's a 7th round pick and see where it goes kind of thing. It's different than Wang, where you spend a second, like a really early second.
Sure, fair.
So, they're both projects. Just in I like that somebody did have that much faith to be like, he's going to play. Maybe he will.
I think a good NCAA defenseman is what he meant. I don't think he means necessarily that he knows that Karmanov's going to make the NHL and play 500 games. I mean, that's obviously for a 7th round pick. I mean, that's not likely anyway. Yeah. But that he has faith in Godowski, he has faith in Penn State in the development, and that they'll turn this guy into, which will be very impressive, even to turn him into a solid NCAA defenseman.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, 7th round pick. At that point, you can take like a swing like that. I was like not the biggest fan of draft day 2, what the Sharks picked, except for Gustafson, and then like later I also ended up liking him more. But then I like calmed myself down and I was like, the guys you wanted the Sharks to take at those picks, there's like no guarantee that they're going to work out either. Like, on the 0.001% chance that Karmanov can play an NHL game, it'll be like an asset to have. And yeah.
All right. Well, Keegan, do you want to finish up here? I think you wanted to talk. Yeah.
Yeah. This one's kind of a weird one because it's not like his person is older for this. I think he's 21 now. So Nate Misskey he's in college. He's he's been around for a little bit. I think they drafted in 24, maybe. That seems right.
Yeah, but he was also like a re-entry
an
that
overage.
year.
Yeah. So he's 21. So you would expect that he would do pretty well at this, and I thought he looked good. Like there was times when I was impressed with some of his activation. He would get into space in the offensive zone. He had some puck rushes that look good. He tries to walk the blue line occasionally. He's big. He's physical. There's a lot of, I don't know. He feels like kind of the guy that's going to spend like 5 years in the minors and eventually like work his way maybe into a role someday. Like he doesn't have like the most natural skill. He's not like going to blow you away with a bunch of stuff, but he just has something there that I think that there's a pro player there eventually. But pro isn't probably minor for a while. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. I thought he and Klee had really good chemistry. I remember there was a moment where someone was coming into the zone and they both, came in and stopped him together. And I don't know. For some reason, I was like I was looked up if they'd ever played together because I was like, they seem to like kind of know what's going on when they're on the ice together. But that was like fun to see. I guess that could be really fun for the CUDA.
Yeah.
If nothing else, like there's you might be able to get like a Sarsland, Brassington, whoever the Clarkson guys are that we got last season for the CUDA, like that kind of player out of him. And I also do think because Lowell last year was like pretty terrible, and when your team as a whole kind of does terribly, it does like have an impact on your play. But I am kind of interested because I think they might have like a crazy recruiting class for next season, and I'm interested to see like maybe with this new season how his sophomore, I think this is his sophomore season, how his sophomore season is gonna go. Hopefully an explosion, but we'll see.
Okay. All right, well, let's go ahead.
I say we should also talk about Mutryn really quick. I can't believe we haven't done that. I really like him.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I mean, he's looked really excellent on Moncton, and I thought he looked great in the prospect scrimmage. Not necessarily like the biggest, flashiest plays, but right place, right time, didn't make a lot of mistakes. Like I really liked his game. I think, he's someone we could be seeing a lot more of pretty soon.
Yeah, I still had concerns about his feet a bit, but I mean, it is probably better than last year. It is better than last year, and so it's just a work in progress, right? So
yeah, I think it's kind of a Wang situation, like you were saying, where there's still improvement that needs to be made, but the jump is really promising to look at.
Do you like him going to BC next year? That's a good kind of step for him, you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that, the thing is, like, I feel like the NCAA is kind of, to some people, replacing the AHL as a development league. And I think that might come back to bite players a little if they're going from the NCAA right to the NHL. Because, I mean, we haven't really seen that, to be fair, before, like, the CHL-NCAA agreement. But then there also is the thing of, like, well, maybe the players that were in the NCAA previously are of a different stock than are in the NCAA now. But I kind of haven't made up my mind on that. I want to, see a couple people get into the league, see what they look like when they were prospect. And then, I think looking at the NCAA as the stepping stone rather than the CHL to the AHL, I think we just need more data on it.
Well, it's usually the highest end guy. Oh, go ahead, though.
Yeah, I was going to say basically what you're about to say, where I think it's usually like the higher picks, like the Martins. And then
Cutter,
sort of, actually Hagen's had made a stop in Providence. But
he did, that's right.
Yeah.
He did,
I saw him. But I think, like, for example, a player like, this was pre-CHL NCAA agreement, but like Lund is maybe what we might see more for a Mutryn kind of prospect, where he does play college, and then he, like, I think Lund got the NHL games because we kind of need warm bodies there at the end of the season.
Well, he was going to get called up.
Yeah, he was.
This year.
But like Mutryn, I still think the vast majority of, like, especially the like later round guys are going to be going to the AHL for like at least some time before they get to the league.
Yeah. I meant more like having those extra years of development in the AHL as opposed to the NCAA.
Gotcha.
Oh, for CHL. Okay, I gotcha. Yes.
Yeah. For CHL, like stopping in the NCAA, and then I said coming into the NHL, which I shouldn't have said. I should have said coming into the NHL organization.
Well, anybody else that you guys want to talk about from Dev Camp, or do you guys want to move on or finish up?
Last thing on Mutryn, I agree. Like when I first saw him in his draft year, I didn't think there was much of a standout quality to him. And then his play in Moncton was awesome. I watched a lot of Moncton this year, and it was like he was like all over the ice. And he doesn't have the best feet, but he thinks the game really well, and he is committed. And he has the dog for 60 for sure. So I like him a lot. That's the new stat, the dog per 60.
Yeah. You and I like Moncton. We like Bleel. Yeah.
Yeah, I love Bleel. Yeah, he's awesome.
All right, guys.
Amazing. Yes.
Barracuda prospect, just quickly around the horn. Which Barracuda prospect do you think makes an NHL impact this season? And Justine, why don't we have you start off this one?
I think this is gonna be a pretty popular answer. Luca Cagnoni, a lot of big fan favorite. I think this year, like, I know his, like, just if you just look at the numbers, obviously the scoring, the offensive side wasn't as, like, crazy as last year. It was comparable, but slight dip. But I think you did see there were some growing pains, I think, this year. And also part of that had to do with, I think the Barracuda's, like, season just, like, it looked so good in the beginning and then it just got derailed. Yeah. But I think he kind of definitely grew his game, like, on the defensive end, which is kind of what you hope to see for, his position. And I think what made me really excited was that it seemed like Mike Grier was, like, hinting towards, or, like, at least very open to the idea of having him play in the NHL. And then I think it would be a good idea to kind of see some of the Sharks prospects, or the Sharks, like, defensemen who are in the pipeline, play NHL games and have a better assessment of basically the health of our defensive, like, prospect surplus. I know we obviously had, like, Dickinson in the NHL last year, but he's, like, a different kind of prospect to Cagnoni. And yeah, I mean, I think people are very excited about both Cagnoni and Polkamp, and I think it'll be at least one of them who are gonna make it. If someone else wants to talk about Polkamp, I'm leaving that open here.
Liza, who do you think? Who's your kind of pick to make an NHL impact this season?
I mean, I feel like Len's the obvious answer because of, what just came out. So I'm going to say Nolan Allen because, and I think he's going to get NHL time because he's a big guy. He's pretty defensively reliable, doesn't do much on offense, but he's also, like, newer into the organization. And we've lost, like, Ferraro, Klingberg. I mean, we got Nurse and Trouba, but I think if, you need someone to burn minutes, I think that's who he's going to look at. Just in terms of being able to be, like, a physical presence, can, minute munch. And I don't think that there's the same, maybe there is, I don't know, but I don't think there's the same, protection around his development that there maybe is for some of the CUDA players who have been there longer. So, like, that's my dark horse who I think we're going to see come up.
Yeah, he's also not waiver exempt, and Cagnoni and Polkamp are, and so that could work in Nolan's favor too. And he also has played a lot of NHL games, unlike Cagnoni or Polkamp. So, Zubair, do you have anybody in mind?
I mean, I think they've already touched on him. I think Cam Lund is the obvious one. I think Nolan Allen has a really steady game and more experience. Luca, I would like to see him be given a little more, and I think that we'll see. I'm not 100% on him. If I was going to pick somebody, though, that maybe he's not on the list, I'd like to see Philip Bystead get a shot. That we haven't mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
I think that would be, I think he's, obviously kind of like, Mike Grier's first, this regime's first pick, and, they've been developing him and letting him marinate, and you've seen progress in his game. And so even if it's not a center position, and they place him on the wing, as we've alluded to earlier, I think that would be a fun person to see up. His size, the way he plays the game, the way he's developed the last couple of years. It's a very sturdy game. I think he can make an impact this season, given the right opportunity.
Yeah, I really liked Bystead too, and I think he also he's gone kind of under the radar more in terms of Sharks prospects. I think with spending a while in, this was only his second full season in the AHL,
yeah,
though, right?
Second full season,
so he's still quite young, and he's still quite. I think, like, there's still a development pathway. I just worry about with the signings, of course, like Marchment recently, that are sort of middle / bottom six is a bit clogged. Yeah, I don't know when this would, like, the Bistad call-up would be, if that makes sense. And I do think, like, they probably would place him. I mean, I think they would place him on the wing to start, for sure. And maybe, like, they might see him.
I say just put him wherever you have Dellandrea if Dellandrea's in the lineup.
Yeah.
That would be my...
Yeah,
More than the Marchment signing, I was very confused about the Dellandrea re-signing, but yeah.
Yeah, they see him probably as like that Swiss Army knife. Just he can go in center or wing and PK and but it does kind of leave
the face-offs.
He might take Gaudreau's place kind of long term too. So
and fair. Also, like, you know, you have your 4 centers locked up, but how often do all 4 centers make it all throughout a full season?
Yeah,
right. So that opportunity,
5, I guess.
That opportunity might just end up being there, and he might be slotted in the center position as well.
You guys stole all the good ones.
Do you want to talk about Musty? And
I guess
less of like
Musty.
less of the prompt, I guess, of he will.
No, I feel
judging.
I feel. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just like less of the prompt of like, oh, he definitely will make an impact, but you know, like, what's your assessment on the player? Yeah,
that's a good point. That's you kind of feel like he's lost in the shuffle in this point, and that's like kind of unfortunate. Like he still needs to, there's things he needs to improve on in the AHL for sure. So he could definitely just his B game is his 200-foot game, but it does feel like there's not a space for Quincy Musty on this team. Like, if you're being honest, there just isn't. He doesn't play a game that's going to be in the bottom, you know, on your 4th line. The 3rd line has already got 10 top line forwards, so that are all like, well, you're counting Stenberg and Chernyshov in those, but guys that have a little bit more to give than he has right now. So he's got he came out of last year in the training camp looking really, really good, and I felt like there was a chance that he might be able to make it, but then I think he kind of trailed off at the end. So he's got to come in and have like the ridiculously good training camp, or he's at risk of being lost in the shuffle between AHL and NHL again. So I don't know. I like him, but it's just it seems like it's the way it's going right now.
I'll just add to that too. If we didn't have the plethora of like wingers that the Sharks currently have, I still don't think he's cracking the lineup the way that he's been playing the game and what I've been seeing from him. I don't know, like maybe the Sharks team from like 3 years ago, he would have been given a shot. But like, I just don't think he's earned a role in the NHL yet from what I've seen. I haven't seen him this training camp, but like obviously and seen him his off-season work, but I just think he cheats the puck too much. He tries a bunch of stuff that just doesn't work as the game gets more structured. And it's unfortunate because when he does have the puck, he's very creative. You know, he has a lot of great creative instincts, great disher of the puck as well.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so I would love to see some of that magic like that we saw from like 2 years ago when he played with Will Smith, or 3 years ago. And so like that was really fun to see, you know, at camp. But I just, every year that I see him since we've drafted him, my hope for him kind of gets like chipped away at from season to season. And so hopefully he can, but I just don't see his commitment to the defensive side of the game or the consistency that you want to see from a winger his size in terms of physicality and engagement, you know, physical engagement. So, and can he just be a fully, completely, you know, creative offensive powerhouse? Yeah, but you got to stop shooting the puck, or some of the stuff I see him do in the neutral zone. I'm like, you would get lit up if you tried that in the NHL, even in the AHL. So I don't know. I'm not as hopeful on him. Do you guys see any of that?
I saw a market improvement from him though in the second half of the season, or he got better for sure. And I think he was taking in some of the things that they want him to do. Speaking to Joe Will about him yesterday, Joe said not specifically about Quinton, but just in general about prospects, that you want to get them to the point where they're playing a pretty good, consistent game like 80% of the time. And that's what gets you to the NHL, and not 60%. And he wasn't speaking again specifically about Musty, but it was in the same area of conversation. And so, I think that, player of that ceiling, just you've got to have that patience to work with him, and you're hoping that something clicks in him and he keeps focused. And he doesn't look at, the players who are ahead of me. It's hard for me to get a job now. Cam Lund got called up, or whoever got called up. Chernyshov, who obviously has kind of, is lapping,
Ethan Cardwell.
everybody, or Cardwell. Even Cardwell's gotten called up too, right? Yeah. So, the talent is there, and I did see a more complete game in the second half, and so hopefully he can really put together next season. Like he might be blocked this coming season a bit, but that's not. He shouldn't worry about that. He needs to just go and take over. Next season.
Sorry,
yeah,
just popped in my head. He reminds me of like a bigger Kevin LeBanc. Like, and that's like the way that I feel like, I don't know. There's great playmaking. There's great power play utility. There's a smart brain there. He's got a good shot too. But then there's a lot of things like Kevin, I think, had other issues even more so than Musty does with his game. But he even made it work. So I mean, like, it kind of reminds me of that a little bit, especially because he's got some size to him too. But we'll see. He does have to have a season like Kevin LeBanc did after he's like first or second year in the AHL, where he was totally dominant. Like you couldn't stop him in the AHL level.
But he has the ability to do that, though. I think that we can all agree on that.
Yeah. So hopefully, keeps on working. I wouldn't say that he's the most likely to make the roster, though. So I don't know. You guys stole the good ones. I mean, Nolan Allen, Louis Cagnoni. I think they both have an easier inside edge because it seems like he's left that like 5 or that 6/7. I said /7 spot open, so I didn't say. But it seems like it's open at least a little bit, and until maybe he signs somebody there, but there's a shot for one of those dudes or Polkamp to make it in, even though we got a lot of righties now. So. Yeah. Who you got,
Shang, how about you?
Anybody?
No, because you guys took the obvious ones.
Take Cardwell. Say fuck it.
So I love Ethan, but he is not waiver exempt, and I don't know if he'll get claimed, to be honest. Always have liked the player, but we always talk about Keegan that he's a guy that he plays a big man's game, and he could use a little more size, and that's just the truth of it. What I would mention, though, is that, and you guys have alluded to it, that the forwards are pretty blocked. I mean, from Bstead, Musty, and even Lund, who does play, a little more of a all-around game, which will help him kind of, it'll give him utility in a bottom six that Musty doesn't have, but still, the Sharks are really full up. I mean, right now, I think we had to figure out, Delandra's like the 15th forward, right? Or something at this point. Yeah. But the clear job that's out there, though, I guess I'll frame it this way, is power play 1. And Nurse, Trouba, Orlov, I mean, those guys can play on the power play, but they, at this point in their careers, you probably see them, you want them to be more power play 2. And so that's the spot where I have a lot of questions about Cagnoni's game too. And I wasn't as high on him a couple years ago when he was dominating AHL as I think some people were. But I haven't retracted on him as much as some people might have, because he didn't have as impactful a season this past season. And so I think that's the one that in training camp that I wonder, because right now that job is wide open. Right now, too, it's not like Mike can just fill that spot. It's not like 4C where he can just be like, oh, we'll sign this guy. He can play 4C for us. Power play 1 is obviously a pretty tough role. And so I guess what I'll say is I don't know if he'll take it, but that is the clear sort of if a guy can pick up his game, have a really good camp, he could be on the opening night roster just if he can run that power play like clearly better than Nurse, Trouba, and Orlov. And you can kind of mask the defensive stuff. You can play him with with one of these big defensemen that they obviously acquired to kind of pair with somebody, ideally like a Cam, to mask a guy like Cagnoni a little bit defensively. And so it's going to be a big test for him. I don't know if he'll do it or not, but I think this is going to be like his chance to.
Yeah. Sheng, I think you bring up a really good point on terms of the open position on the power play quarterback. And I think and you guys know this, I've been a Polkamp fan since Bemidji, like love his game and love his arc. And, he's been in my top prospects for the Sharks since we drafted him. And what he brings is a completely different element to the power play quarterback position than Cagnoni. So I think it's also important to talk about the strategy that they try to deploy on the power play. And the differences in the strategy is you have Cagnoni, who's a great playmaker. He draws the defender towards him to give his players space. And then you have Polkamp, who's just got this bomb of a shot, kind of like more of like an Evan Bouchard type. And so I think who's your net front presence? And I think what's interesting is bringing in Mason Marchment. I think you deploying his abilities as a net front present guy allows an opportunity for Polkamp to take that position, because if you have a bomb of a shot that's also accurate, then a big guy in front of the net, I think it alludes to that strategy being more effective potentially when you have Cagnoni with a Macklin, with a Will Smith, all these other great playmakers. And there's a point where you're like, we need someone who can just put the puck on the net and create some chaos. And I think that's probably a better deployment considering the players that we currently have that are guaranteed slotted for a PP1, like a Macklin, and again, the right-hand shot. So I see that job more open for Polkamp than Cagnoni for specifically the strategy that I see the Sharks trying to execute based on their attributes.
Well, I'm talking about strictly this coming year, so Polkamp may grow into that, but you're talking about somebody that has played 1 AHL game, 0 NHL games. And so I would be gobstopped if Polkamp breaks camp as a Sharks PP1 out of camp. Like that would be a credit to him. Yeah,
impact this season.
I'm talking about specifically in camp, because the thing you're talking about is exactly actually why Klingberg kept PP1 for so long, because they were hoping for somebody to distribute. But eventually they're like, you know what? He's not doing a good enough job. Fuck it. He's losing the puck. Let's just put somebody we'll just put somebody who will just bomb the puck like Orlov, right? And so that
Klingberg
might be
bombed the puck way more than Orlov on the power play.
Well, reputationally,
bomb shin guards or bomb the net.
Yeah, that's you. Yeah, but
no disrespect to John Klingberg.
Orlov
no disrespect to John Klingberg.
Yeah, no disrespect. But like reputationally, Orlov is kind of like, and I think Orlov it did play a simpler. Because Klingberg tried to move the puck a lot, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, Orlov played, I think, a simpler power play kind of game. And historically, Orlov has been a decent PP2 guy. So maybe long-term, that's what happens with a Polkamp. But I'm just talking about this training camp. That's all. And this is the spot that Luka has the experience advantage over a Polkamp.
Absolutely.
He has no clear competition at the moment for PP1. So yeah, this is going to be a big camp for him.
All right, I do have to head out, unfortunately.
Yeah. We have kept both of you for way too long.
Yeah, way long.
Eliza, before you head off, you're already famous on X, and I will promise I will follow you right now, but let everybody know your handle and where they can find your work.
It is at San Jose Sharks, and there's links to my Cal stuff.
It's
on there.
SANL, right? OSC.
Yes, San Jose Sharks, all one word, except there's an L. San Jose Sharks.
San Luz Sharks.
Yeah, I say Luze. I think Steve Dangle said Luze. I've heard Luz though.
I love it.
But yeah, that's me. Cool. But anyway, thank you guys for having me. This was really fun to chat. I need to go before this thing beeps again and I get scared.
Well,
But
we'll ask you the final one. Are the Sharks making playoffs next year? Quick. We call this a boiler finger. Yeah.
The boiler finger
Boiler
gun.
finger gun. Yeah.
no,
Gun to your head.
No.
no.
Oh,
Okay.
she said
No.
that.
Okay.
One no.
Okay.
Thanks for coming on,
that
Liza.
note,
You're welcome. I'm sorry I don't believe in them as much as I guess maybe other people do, but see y'all.
I did also mention for Eliza too that she's working on something that I guess so she's doing it for school about just the construction of Stanley Cup teams, and so look for that on her Twitter again. San Luis Sharks, or however she
San
says
Jose.
it. So.
I like that.
But okay, well, Justine, then I guess same question. Do you think the Sharks make the playoffs next season?
I think we actually drop out earlier than we did
Wow.
this previous season.
Okay.
Yeah.
2 no's.
But like I don't it's not necessarily that I think there's just gonna be like even more because it's not like you go through your rookie season and then like that's the end of like your growth for the young team, right? I think it just seems like something that would happen. I think last year they just overperformed like crazy.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I think like it's gonna kind of go back to the like return to the norm this year. I don't think they're
Regression to the
gonna
mean.
like necessarily be quote unquote worse as a team. But I think I have just like a feeling that we're gonna drop out of the race like a little bit earlier. But that's more because I think they went above expectations last year.
all right.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead. Shingers, you want to go?
Oh, sure. I was going to ask you to go, but I'm going to change it. I think they do make it. I think that the controversial defensive improvements, they help enough in terms of cutting down the goals against. Macklin stays Macklin, if not better. And then you get growth from players like it could be Will Smith, it could be Chernyshov, it could be Misa. There is so much sort of untapped potential at forward. And I think that comes out. And so and also too, I know that the Pacific was noticeably very weak this past year. But I don't see it, so far at least, hasn't gotten that much better really. Maybe a little better in some places, but like, I don't really see LA or Edmonton, their changes being very intimidating. Vegas is going to be Vegas still. They'll still be effective and a good team, but I think that they'll make it.
I love it. Shag, you basically ditto. I'm with Shangers on this one. And for all the same reasons, plus add Stenberg in there, who I think is going to give you some development throughout the season. He looks ready to go. I think just Mason Marchment, you have more offensive depth. And most importantly, to add to Shang's point, the defensive additions, all three of them, Kesselring included, Nurse, Trouba, you have 3 defensive players that are all NHL caliber. And will be able to get the puck out of the zone. I don't think we've had the ability to do that for, the last half decade. We finally have D that can get the puck out. When you have this high octane offense, I think you're going to see more of that, more of the attack instead of just playing in our zone. And I think that's going to result in, to Shang's point again, better goal differential, which is, the highest correlate statistic to making the postseason. And we saw improvement last year in that gap, but still really bad goal differential this last year. And I think that gap is going to be closed enough with, again, to Shang's point, the specifics of the Pacific, competitively, well, they'll be able to slide in. And again, the development of all these young players and the insulation of these young players. I think you're going to see a much better Sam Dickinson as a result of playing with a better, competent defensive core. With experience. And I think you're going to see a little bit more space out there with the physicality that we brought, for some of our smaller players like Stenberg with the Trouba. So I actually am very bullish on the Sharks making the postseason. Deegan?
Oh God, it's 2 up and 2 down now. So it's like
you're the difference maker.
I'm the difference maker, and I've kind of gone back and forth on this, like while we've been talking. Yeah, I think they make the playoffs. I think they. I'm back on the train. I think it's close. I think it's very close. But
I do agree it's close. Yeah.
I think the improvements were targeted in such a way that, and also this isn't to say that Ferraro and Eklund were bad players, because they're good players. They're good hockey players, but they had become so synonymous with this team losing in a way that like there's just no more like of that specific player that you're just used to seeing, that you're like, oh yeah, Eklund's on the team and we lost 12-1, or Ferraro's on the team and we lost, I just feel like there's going to be a mindset change a little bit with that too, that I'm hopeful that Macklin just keeps on being Macklin. And I think they're following such a trajectory of improvement on their rebuild that I think they make it. Just Macklin improving even a little bit, or just staying the same, and then you get improvements from everywhere else. That I'm going to say yes, but it's super close. That's my final answer.
Yeah, I
totally.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Justine.
Okay. I was going to say like the mental aspect of it and like the morale and kind of the momentum will do. It kind of affects like the game quite a lot, or maybe that's just from a fan perspective. Like it feels so much more important, but I'm sure for like in the locker room that has like a big impact. I like being pessimistic so that if they do well, they surprise me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, emotionally hedging. Yeah. Yeah.
But I do agree though with what you said though, that that they did overachieve last year, and that I think there would have been a kind of this regression if they came back with mostly the same team, if they brought back Ferraro, if they brought back Eklund. And so I think that the moves that they've made, I think will make up for some of that regression that's going to happen. And also too, again, I do believe in the group of forwards beyond Macklin, that there needs to be. I mean, you drafted these guys so high, you can't ask Macklin to carry you. Like, you're not going to win a Stanley Cup with just Macklin carrying you there. You need one of these other guys, two of these other guys, to not just be productive players playing next to Macklin, but they need to kind of define themselves as excellent NHL players with or without Macklin. And that's, that could be a Will Smith, that could be Igor Chernyshov, that could be a Colin Graff, even more so than he did last year, Michael Misa, and go down the line. There's so many guys who are so talented that even just the odds are, with their pedigree too, of most of these guys are high picks, that one or two of these guys is going to be like, oh, this guy is actually an all-star player now. Like, that's just going to happen. Like, he's going to be so much better than he was last year. And so I think that should make up for the regression, along with the defensive upgrades, and you hope so. And so that's what I'm counting on. And so they may make it to the playoffs and have 5 more points than last year, or 8 more. And people might be like, oh, they're not even that much better than last year. But then when you look under the hood, they're actually significantly better.
Yeah. Is anyone else excited listening to Shang?
I think also even just eking into playoffs and just getting totally roasted the first round, whoever they're up against. I think that having that experience is also very crucial to your future teams. It's I don't know, making sourdough bread and you're trying to your sourdough starter, basically.
Yeah, I like that analogy. That's good.
I think what's interesting too is I again, there's a lot of betting on a growth amongst all these players, and I wanted to throw Sherwood in there too. A full season with Kiefer, I think is going to be very impactful. You saw him play well down the stretch. In fact, in the meaningful games is when he was really impactful, understanding your teammates better, your chemistry, the system, the structure that you were playing within. I think we're going to see a good season from him as well. I think Wennberg looked better in the back half of the season. I thought some of your liabilities in the team, you've upgraded to people that are impactful. And so, like I said, I'm very excited for this season, more so than, other than just watching a few key players. This is like the excitement of the last couple of years. I'm excited of the team game this season, and we got to talk about Askarov too, right? Like Askarov's a big part of this too. I think seeing growth and development from him is another exciting storyline of the season that's going to be very important, and I would bet on him as well. So I'd put that in the mixes there.
Yeah, and on the Askarov note, it actually reminded me of, we didn't talk about Ravensburgen during the prospect section.
Yeah.
And I think part of it might also be that sometimes it's a lot harder. I find it really hard to evaluate goalies. So that's like maybe part of it. But I think like for Askarov specifically, he had obviously that crazy like November, I forget which month it was, but
It was November,
it was like a lot of, I think partly there was like some of it being a mental game, and then also just finding consistency as a young goaltender in the NHL. I do think I feel like a lot of our games last year, there was never really, how do I word? It was a lot of the times when we won, we were getting bailed out by whether it was Askarov or Nedeljkovic that time, or we were outscoring however many goals we let in. And I think like in conjunction with like kind of the defensive reinforcements that they added to the roster this year, like that will also kind of help with the development of Askarov, because you have a far more consistent product in front of you, so you know what you're going to expect a bit better.
Yeah. I want to add to that too. Like one of the most important things and why goalies take longer to develop is at the NHL level, and you could talk to goaltenders about this, it's a lot of pattern recognition, and you need the reps. And, a lot of what Askey went through last year, I think, was more expected by the organization than people probably know. And it's all a part of goaltender development. And I think they have great insulation with him. They have great insulation with the forwards, with the veterans like the Toffoli's and the Wennbergs. And now I think we finally have the defensive insulation as well that's going to be helpful for the Sharks next year. But for Askarov, I think I would say expect more of what we saw in November, and obviously some of the issues of the pattern recognition is making those reads, where the shots are coming from, what angles are available, understanding the shooters of the NHL. There's a lot of understanding very particular players, very particular systems of where players are going to be in the league, your key goal scorers. And that just is, you need reps more so than any other position. And so I'm going to really, really watch Askarov this next season. I think his stance, you saw in November when you watched him, to your point, Justine, he had a really good stance. I think sometimes he's a little too low, which exposes him upstairs. He attacks a little bit too much in his stance, and you want to be a little tall. He tends to crouch down to find shooting lanes. But when he's upright and trusts that position, he looks really good. And then obviously he's got his athleticism to bail him out. But I think that defensive insulation is really key. And having big bodies that can in front of the net too. I mean, all three of the defensemen we brought in are big bodies that can block shots too. They're all known for blocking shots. So I think that's going to be key as well. All
right, Justine, how do we get you out of here? You got to give us a rundown of your Twitter, all that stuff.
Let me think. So yeah, you can find me on Twitter, my professional account at it's Justine Yihe Kang, and that's Justine. My name is spelled here. Perfect. Yihekang. And then I'm based on the East Coast, so I won't really be at most of like the Sharks home games. I'll try to maybe see if I can do any coverage of when the Sharks come to the East Coast. But a lot of my focus there will be keeping up with Sharks prospects who are kind of in my area, or Sharks prospects who are in general. And I also, honestly, I haven't really completely organized what I'm going to be doing with that account this season. But yeah, we'll see. You might also, I don't want, there's a ton of people who followed me during dev camp who I think just want Sharks content. And then so I feel really bad about putting like my random college free agents who like might not even become NHL players, probably won't even become NHL players actually. I'm like, I feel bad about putting them on like their timelines, but expect a lot of that too. Yeah.
True
And
hockey
then-
nerds will love it.
Exactly. Put what you want on your Twitter. Go to Justine's account. She had a lot of clips, great video clips of the interviews from Dev Camp.
Yeah, I felt
you
bad also about posting
yeah.
them before. Like, I was like, am I intrude? Like, especially because some of the questions.
Don't feel bad.
I really like the personality and like highlighting the kind of like the fun aspects of prospects, especially for prospect scrimmage, which is like kind of like mostly like a fun thing, right? But yeah, a lot of personality and development stuff for the Sharks prospects.
Yeah, reporting is a competitive world, so you had it out there first. Good job. So, do you also write for Offsides? Is that Offsides?
Yeah, that's Offside News Co.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll also do a lot of like, kind of like prospect coverage for that. Is what I'm mainly planning on.
And also for, just to mention, I think we mentioned it at the top, but Elite Prospects, you'll be covering NCAA, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, primarily NCAA and then some youth hockey, which I don't know if people here might be interested. But if you're ever interested in like, you know, jumping on the train of guys who might go in the top round, like the first round in like 2-3 years from now, that's a good place to start.
Hey, right about RJ Celebrini, right? So all Sharks fans will be interested in that. So, yeah. But I also want to mention too with Eliza too, because she jumped off before we could remind everybody that she is also with Elite Prospects and she'll be covering NCAA and USHL for them. And I think we'll be seeing both Eliza and Justine's work in the Elite Prospects 2027 draft guide, which is my go-to draft guide. So so excited to see their reports in there. But anyway, yeah. Besides that, thank you, Justine, for your time, and yeah, we'll see you guys later.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was really fun. It was nice to meet you all. And thanks so much for also promoting the Elite Prospects Draft Guide. Hopefully, I will have many reports in there.
Looking forward to it.
Great. Thank you so much.